Joe Rogan Podcast. Check it out.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
Train by day, Joe Rogan Podcast by night, all day.
Yeah, Chad, just take. Oh,
is that how we're going to start the show?
Take a hit of that. We'll start the show. Just get in there.
Oh, jeez.
And that's not even a fresh one.
Okay.
When they're fresh,
I just want to do
brutal.
it twice to make sure that was real.
Shout out to how do you say his name? Jujumufu. Jujumufu for his smelling salts.
If it was fresh, you couldn't do that twice.
It's fresh. If it's fresh, you get like that close. And you're just like.
Yeah, no, I'm awake.
That was a good one though.
I'm definitely awake.
I'm gonna bring these to the comedy mothership. I'm gonna see. I'm gonna take a big blast right before I go on stage. It's supposed to wake up your central nervous system or something.
Yeah,
I don't even know if there's any science to it.
No, it just sucks.
It might be just a bunch of psychos who just like freaking their brain out with smelling salts.
I'm awake.
Anyway, man, congrats on the movie. Looks awesome.
Thank
It's
you
very
very much.
exciting.
Very nice to be here. Big fan.
Thank you. My pleasure. It's boy, Jesus Christ, is it over the top?
Way over
This
the top.
fucking dude is so crazy.
Yeah.
It's so crazy. I saw a thing online of the amount of people that John Wick has killed compared to like Michael Myers and
I think we beat him,
Jason.
right?
Oh yeah,
I think we beat
by a long
I think we
shot.
beat Rambo too.
Yeah, I think you beat everybody.
But I think we had more deaths than Keanu spoke words in the movie.
Oh, for sure, 100%.
What everybody's bringing up to me. I think he spoke
Yeah.
308 words in the movie or something.
Yeah. Well, listen, it works. It's perfect.
Yeah, something fun, something for the guys, and
Yeah.
the boys and the action fans and everybody out there.
Oh yeah, it's murder porn. I mean,
Hopefully, it's artistic murder.
it's artistic. It is. It's interesting how they're all so different too. Like
Yeah.
the fourth one is like almost like a comic book movie. It's like it's
Very
so over the
graphic.
top
Yeah.
and crazy and
Graphic anime. I think it's probably the best story that we've told, but it's definitely wrapped up in the hyper real world. You know, we get bored, so we wanted to go somewhere and do something. And it's always like, how do we start these things? What do we do? Like, we never start with a concept, right? It's usually we're done, we're never going to do one again. And then Japan gets released like 6 months after the rest of the world. So we're usually doing a press tour in Japan, and we're sitting in the Imperial Hotel. They have an amazing Scotch bar. And we start off with the first drink going, thank God it's done. God, we survived. And by like the fifth Scotch, we're like, hey, man, I got a great fucking idea. Let's have them fight ninjas. And then that's how it starts. And it's been that way for the last 3.
so you started off as a stuntman.
Yeah.
And how did you transition to becoming a director? Because that's like there's got to be a lot of barriers that are in the way.
I think different time for sure. You know, before cell phones, before all that stuff. We started as a stunt guy, before all the streamers. You know, I was working for this guy, Ernie Orsatti, way back in the day, a brilliant stunt coordinator, second unit director on television. And I was working on, I don't know if you remember the old show, like Pretender. With Michael
Yeah,
T. Weiss
sure,
and stuff.
yeah.
He could be anything, that kind of thing. And I was doing a gig on that. I had just done a car hit. I think I was only like 24. I split my head open on the windshield. I was a mess. And then he comes to me as I'm holding the ice pack on my head. He's like, hey, they're having auditions for this sci-fi film in Burbank. You're off. You can, if you hurry, you can make it. And I'm in jeans and a T-shirt, and I'm bleeding. And I'm like, all right, yeah, sure, I'll go make it. It's for that Keanu Reeves guy, in Speed. It come out. I'm like, Keanu Reeves, I'll go see him, sure. So we go up there, and it was an audition for The Matrix. And, at the time, you remember, back in the day, there weren't a lot of martial art movies at a big budget level. It was like Steven Seagal or Von Damme or, Mark Dacascos, all those guys at the time. And martial arts, they didn't do them in big budget films. It was considered low budget, action porn kind of thing. And we get there, get to this big warehouse in Burbank, and you saw this guy really scruffy looking with a neck brace, punching. And it's Keanu. He had just come out from neck surgery.
Oh,
and
Jesus.
Like 15 Hong Kong and Chinese stuntmen there, screaming and yelling. And I said, hey, I'm here for the audition. And I meet these two fellows that come over, and it's the Wachowskis at the time, now Lana and Lily. And they introduced themselves, and we're like, hey, I'm Chad. I'm here for the. Okay, great. This is Yung Woo Ping. And I was like, oh. No one told it. And Yung Woo Ping we knew from was the big choreographer that started Jet Li and Jackie Chan.
Oh.
Did like Iron Monkey.
Oh, wow.
Once Upon a Time in China and all that stuff. So it was Yung Woo Ping and his guys, and they're like, okay, you just follow this guy and this little guy named Tiger Chen. Fucking phenomenal. Guy could do triple flip, twist, just could do anything. A wushu champion. They just follow that guy. Just do what he does. And for the next
God.
hour, I tried, being the tall white guy, trying to just keep up with him.
Can you do all that stuff?
God, no. God, I just did as much as I could till I fell down. But I was pretty flexible. I had a good gymnastic background, so I'd throw a backflip, I'd do the kicks, I'd do all the spin hook kicks, and we'd train with a lot of Taekwondo guys and stuff. So we were pretty good at all the kicking and punching and some of the acrobatics. But then it got to a level, he picks up a stick, and now you've seen the Wushu guys,
yeah,
they're going mental. And I'm like, oh boy, at the end of an hour, I'm in jeans and a t-shirt still bleeding from a head wound.
Oh, Jesus. Did you have a concussion?
I probably, yeah. I think so. Knowing now, looking back, like, yeah, that didn't seem too good. But I finished, drove home, thought, wow, I really screwed the pooch on that one. I never thought I'd hear from those guys again. And then like a month later, I got a call, hey, can you come back? An exact same audition again, exact same. And then got the call saying, hey, would you like to double Keanu Reeves on this sci-fi movie in Australia? And I was like, yeah, I got this other gig on TV. I think I'm going to have to pass. And the producer at the time was Barry Osborne, who went on to do all the Lord of the Rings. And he was like, yeah, he's kind of a little angry at me for saying no. And I thought, okay, if I fuck that up, I'll never work again. And then cut to 2 months later, it was in February, and he calls back and goes like, hey, we had to push the shoot. Are you available now? I was like, yeah, actually I am. So I literally flew to Australia like 2 weeks later, got there, and within a day you realized, oh, this isn't a normal show. You saw the rehearsals, you saw some of the sets, you saw some of the footage, and it was the fucking Matrix.
Oh, wow.
So that's how we got in, or how I got in with the Wachowskis, and I spent the next 8.5 years with them through all the Matrix sequels and some of their other shows, and with James McTeague doing V for Vendetta. I just lived in the Wachowski world, and that's probably one of the most incredible film schools you'll ever have. That's where I got to know Keanu and all that. Cut 2 years later, after all that, Keanu and I had worked together for so long in there. He knew I'd been doing a lot of second unit directing, which for people that don't know, it's the action, the fight scenes, the car chases, the sunsets, all the shit first unit doesn't want to deal with. Usually big action sequences, so they have these action directors or second unit guys go out and do the units, trying to do it more efficiently without the cast with the stunt doubles and such. And Keanu had gotten this script that he thought was something interesting about it. It was called Scorn, and it was the original John Wick script.
How did it become called John Wick?
Derek Kolstad's grandfather's name is John Wick. Derek Kolstad being the writer of it. So he just gave tribute to his grandfather, called him Wick, John Wick.
Oh, wow.
Pretty trippy, yeah.
And so, how did that become the name of the movie?
Keanu, at the original script Scorn, the guy was like 65. He lived in a little brown. It was very, very grounded script. I think only 2 people died in the original script, and it was like one in a car crash.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, it was just very. It was very Cold War, old school, and that's where the gold coins came from because you didn't want to leave a paper trail. It had very simple little ideas.
Oh, wow.
And he handed it to myself and was like, hey, would you like to take a look at this? And I was like, sure. I read it and I was like, yeah, I don't know what to do with this action-wise. He only kills 2 people. It's like, well, we're trying to change it and we're thinking of this. I'm like, well, he's like, would you like to direct it? And I was like,
whoa.
Yes, as a matter of fact.
So you had no experience directing, and then you direct John Wick?
Yeah, just second unit. Yeah.
Dude.
Me and my partner at the time, Dave Leach, I called Dave. That was on a Friday. I called Dave on a Saturday going, hey, we might have a shot. We got to put a pitch together in 24 hours. So I always had this idea about Greek mythology and how we could layer it and do this. Like, I'm a big Tolkien fan. So how do you take a fantasy gig and make it modern day? So we're like, let's take it that way, and we'll put gods and Greeks and Sharon and the river Styx, and we'll make this whole Zeus thing going on. And we kind of layered it, and Keanu just heard it on Monday and went, interesting. And he said, sure, you want to do it? I'm like, yeah, me and my partner Dave, we'll co-direct, we'll do this. And we brought it to the producer, Basil Ionic, the next day. And he goes, well, Keanu, why don't you? Sure. We had done a little tape on that Sunday about, the gun fu stuff. We took Aikido, Aikijitsu, put it all the close quarter tactical shit with some reloads. And we did a quick little previs in our Space 8711 back in L.A. and showed it to him. Everybody thought, oh, my God, this is going to be, great. Can Keanu do it? We're like, yeah, I hope so.
Where did the magazine reload flip come from?
That funny thing, that I'm going to give total cred to Keanu.
Wow.
100%. He started doing that in the second one. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? He's like, yeah, check it out. Fuck. He started doing it. I was like, that's awesome.
It is awesome. People do that now.
Check. Yeah, it's a legit thing. They're doing a competition.
You know how crazy that is? That an actor for a film decides to come up with a thing, and it's actually a quicker way to eject a magazine.
He can do forehand and backhand. He does some trippy things. He does it with the AR too. Like you'll watch in the second one, he'll do a quick flip with the AR and he'll put it on. You're like, where the fuck did he get that?
Well, he really, really trained for that movie.
That's him.
I mean, you can really tell. I mean, there's films where guys do tactical scenes where you go like, okay, I can buy it.
Right.
But in that movie,
the typical military way of cutting through, pieing the corners and
Yeah.
doing on stuff, the very tactical sense, I think you're right. I see that. It's like with martial arts. You can do the quick finger jab in the eye, right?
Right.
Once in a while, that staccato beat is cool. But choreography and for the visual of it, I think sometimes you have to add something. You have to show people something they kind of expect, subvert it, and give them something a little bit different. Spice it up a little bit. So I think we went more with the competition sense. I saw Taran online. JJ Perry, a buddy of mine, introduced me to Taran online, and I saw Taran, and I saw some of the quick. I was like, "Fuck, that's what we got to put a little spice in this."
Yeah.
And then sent Keanu out there, and
Taran is such a freak.
Oh my God, freak of like no one. Let's be honest, no one should be that good.
He's
right?
crazy. It's crazy how good he is.
Should not be that good.
The speed that he has is so insane.
How many people have you seen that are good at what they
He's
do?
such a good guy too. He's such a fun guy to be around. So easygoing, and what a great instructor too, because he's so calm and easy.
And he's got a naturalistic approach. It's just follow your body.
He's one of the only reasons I like to go back to LA.
Yeah.
For real.
He's the only reason I go to Simi Valley.
Yeah. Well, whenever I'm in town, I always make a trip.
And you get better every time, right?
Oh, for sure.
There's a little
Yeah,
something
for sure.
just by watching him. You can see. And I was up there just yesterday, as a matter of fact, picking up something, and I had introduced him to an actor about like 3-4 weeks ago. And he had taken this cast member in just 3 sessions, and the cast member happened to be up there yesterday. And to watch what he had done with him in 3 weeks, I mean, granted, there is a little natural ability there, I could tell, but like the progression and how fast he gets you from just pointing a firearm to drawing it, hip shooting, pressing, walking, and running through the course.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to explain, right? Until you actually,
Yes.
you can see it online, but when you're there and seeing how fast the pings are coming and actually watching Taran go through the obstacle course,
Yeah.
it's really, really impressive.
No, he's a freak. He's weird.
But,
it's
like,
something's going on in his brain.
Do you think like there's something about the hand-eye coordination? Like, we all have a little bit, especially
Right.
through martial arts, but that's
Not like that.
That's no.
Well, obviously
It's
he's been doing it forever, but he's got some God-given ability.
It's got to be some autism, right?
Yeah,
It
100%.
Because he can I've seen him do things where he's looking one way and he's still lining up. Like he just knows that, what would you call it? Like that physical discipline or that body memory.
Yep.
The motor muscle memory to get in there and plug it.
And no red dot. He's doing it all through the...
all iron
yeah.
sights, all
Yeah.
old school.
All old school.
And that's how he teaches, which I love.
Yeah, I love it too because he says red dots fail, and I've had red dots fail.
Yeah,
on
all the
range.
time,
Yeah.
all the time.
And you're like, what the fuck is it? Fucking shit.
And you're
with
fucking
it.
with it, and he's
Yeah.
just like, okay, as you're fucking around with that, I'm just going
Exactly.
to go shoot a couple
Yeah.
more bullets. But he's been very good. Like I'm naturally left-handed, but I always shoot with him right-handed. But he's helped me so he's got me to the point where I can kind of go through the range with both hands and with the same dominant eye, which is a bit of a trip. Next time you go, try alternate hands. It'll mess with I think it'll help your sighting.
Oh, I'm sure. Everything
Yeah.
you do with your left hand will help your right hand.
Yeah.
I learned that from martial arts.
Yeah, absolutely.
Someone told me that a long time ago, that if you practice your bad side, it actually improves the technique on your good side.
I think it helps you
Yeah.
think in a different way, right?
Yeah, I think that's one of the reasons why left-handed people are so good at things.
What they say, like, back in the day, in gladiatorial or whatever, like the left-handed, because it was hard. It wasn't so much that they were better; you weren't used to fighting with them.
Well, I think also, there's definitely that. Like when you spar with people, especially in boxing.
Yeah, when they go
When you
southpaw.
spar southpaws, it's so confusing.
Well,
I
it
remember-
fucks up your footwork because you
Yeah.
don't want to keep stepping on their foot.
Exactly. Yeah.
Kickboxing, maybe it's a little bit different.
Well,
you know?
kickboxing, in MMA in particular, like the elite guys like Sanhagen, these guys, they switch stances constantly.
Constantly.
And so you're getting overloaded with possibilities all the
Right.
time, which makes it so interesting. When
Very.
you get to these high-level guys, when you get to like an Israel Adesanya guy, they give you so many looks, you don't know what the fuck is going on.
They're changing that stance all the
Yeah,
time. It's
and
very-
feinting all the time. And
It's very interesting. I did a lot of boxe français, like savate, which is very open stancey. Like they'd move, it's constant motion. If you watch those old savate guys, right? They're constantly moving. So they would fall from what's a false lead. And you see so much of that now in MMA, you're right. It's
yes.
false leads. They're switched, so it's hard to gauge or set them up.
yes.
It's fascinating to watch now. I think athletes today, especially in martial arts, are like just right? Whole nother level.
Whole nother level.
You can't even compete
They're the
with
best
what-
of the best.
Oh my
It's
God.
like no one's ever been better. It's
No.
like martial arts. I've always said this, that since 1993, in the last 30 years, martial arts have evolved more than they have over the last 30,000 years.
Completely agree.
No
Completely
question.
agree.
No ifs, ands, or
Between
buts.
The fitness, the training mentality, and just the combative alacrity that these guys have. The
Yes.
ability to, I mean, they're insane athletes, number one, but to kick, punch, shoot, and grapple and not miss a beat and get right back up. Like, you just watch them. It's almost choreography. That's how good they're being trained. I mean, they're zero range. Before it used to be like jab, jab, jab till you can shoot it. Now it's like they can change ranges on the fly. They're so good at it.
And they're switching levels on you. Like they're doing one thing to set up a takedown. They're using takedowns to set up strikes. I mean, it's amazing.
It's mental.
It's so
it's
mental.
Scary how good it is.
It really is, because it's so much different than any other version of martial arts that existed before the UFC came along.
I think we had become so divided. You were just the kicker, you were just the puncher. And
Right.
it was almost a stylistic civil war going on. Like, my kung fu could beat your kung fu,
well,
or
yeah.
my kicking will beat your punching, or you're like, what?
What did you start training in?
I was originally a judo first. Did a lot of judo back when I was 10 to like 16. Then I started karate. It was like a Kyokushinkai, Koko Kondo karate, and Japanese jiu-jitsu. Did that all the way till I went to school at USC from Massachusetts. And I got here and I bumped into this guy, Burt Richardson, who was a big student under
Sure.
Dan Inosanto.
Yeah.
And Burt was teaching like just a Kali class, Kali and Silat over at USC. And I met him, and I was a big fan of Dan Inosanto, from all the
Sure.
Black Belt magazine.
Yeah.
So he hooked me up, and I got into the Inosanto Academy, and that's where it went mental. We studied with like Francis Fong and Paul Dutoit for Indonesian Silat. We had like every other Filipino instructor you could imagine from that. We had Francis and Chenard and Salim Asali for Savat, Surachai Surasut for Muay Thai.
Wow.
And then we'd get these, guest appearances by like all these great martial art instructors. And that's kind of
that's
where we got
awesome.
it. And that's where I met this guy, Jeff Amato, who at the time was a very big stunt coordinator. And he kind of recruited us into the stunt world from there.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. Wow. So then you get into the stunt world. You're doing that for years and years. And it's just so crazy that John Wick is your first breakthrough movie as a director. Right? And it's a fucking gigantic...
We tried to look for something that was kind of bulletproof. We figure, very short story.
Oh, man.
Killed dog guy goes, and then we kind of layered it in with the subtext of grief and suffering. And
everything.
We tried to put our little thing
it's
in
perfect.
There, it was all about the puppy.
Who's the Russian gentleman, the guy who plays the father?
Yeah, Michael Nyquist.
Yeah, that guy was so good.
He was in the original Girl with Dragon Tattoo, and I think he did the third Mission Impossible. I think he was the bad guy in.
He died recently, right?
Yeah, he died a couple years ago. I think I don't know if it was a heart attack or stroke, but he died. He still has a nice a charity thing that they do every year for him.
God, that
fantastic
guy was so good.
Fantastic
that fucking
guy.
Scene.
Swedish actor.
The scene when he's explaining to his son, who's also awesome, the guy who was in Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
What is his name?
Alfie Allen.
That guy's incredible.
So good. We cast a lot off Game of Thrones. I used to love Game of Thrones.
He's so good. He plays such a good fuckhead.
Oh my God, he's such a good prick. But like in life, it's so funny. He is the shyest, quietest, super nice, like hardest work, just never left set, always there ready to do his thing. The sweetest kid ever.
Yeah, well, I can believe it.
And he's so good at that role.
Oh, my God.
So
But that scene when he's at the bar, pouring the drink, explaining.
Giving him the little fairy tale of the Baba Yaga.
Oh, it's such a good scene.
We were kind of laughing at ourselves. We're like, how do we make a movie that people are going to watch? How do we do something other than the gritty, Bourne action and stuff like that? It's like, we got to do a fairy tale. We just got to do a fairy tale. We're going to do a campsite fire. We're going to have this little fairy tale. So we started looking up all these Russian fairy tales. Like, we need a cool name. Okay, Baba Yaga. It's a witch. Don't worry. No one will ever know. No one will ever see the movie. It'll be fine. And we're like, fuck, it's not the guy. It's the guy you send to kill the boogeyman. Okay, we'll work this out. But it was like just building, like, I'm fascinated by mythology. So if you can build your own myth, that's what we're just trying to do. Like, we're trying to be a little ridiculous. That's why we use the color, instead of just noir, black and white, we tried to do like neon noir. We had Jonathan Sella and then Dan Louston as cinematographers on it. And to try and take it and give visual cues to the audience that, like, this isn't real. It's a fairy tale. Try to get on board with it. That's why you see the color differentiation. Right when the cop knocks on the door, he goes, "Hey, you working again?"
Yeah.
We just switch colors, and we're like, "Okay, hopefully people will get that we're now in a fantasy."
Well, it just seemed it was realistic, but not.
Yeah.
And just
You need one anchor. You always need one anchor.
One of my buddies called me up, and he goes, "Have you seen John Wick?" I go, "No, is it good?" He goes, "Dude."
Did you get the dude?
when you get that dude, you're gonna fucking love it.
Pretty
And
fun.
then I saw it. I'm pretty sure I saw it in the movie theater, and I mean right away I was like, "Holy shit, this is my kind of movie." I mean, this is so much fun.
It's right. It's everyone's kind of an Odysseus. Like I'm probably the same generation. We grew up with like Steve McQueen and Bronson.
Sure.
A little bit. We're like not a lot of dialogue, but like
Yeah.
Bullet. He's in that car.
Oh my
and you're
God,
fucking in it.
We just played the Bullet scene the other day. I mean, that car scene, no music.
No, it's all car.
Just car. Just car.
And
shit.
that's the real. That's what the '68 Mustang. It's just all car.
68 fastback. Yeah.
all carrying that scene for the whole time. And you're like, that's pretty cool.
Have you seen the Revology '68 Mustang?
No.
Revology makes they make a replica of the Bullet,
Really?
but it's with this sick suspension with a 460 horsepower Coyote engine, and it's lightweight, so it's like 600 pounds less than a real Mustang
God.
GT from today.
Yeah, you'd be able to throw that around all
Oh
day.
my God, it's an incredible car. Yeah, he makes
We
like
have to check that out. That sounds awesome.
Pull it up. I'll show you. This is what he makes. Look at that.
That's beautiful.
That's his car. I mean, and it's, fucking 0 to 60 in 4 seconds. So you can get it a 6-speed or a manual, and the fucking car screams. It's such a fun car. So this guy's Tom Scarpello. He used to work for Ford. He used to be in their the program to make the Ford GT, and so he built this car.
Assembly to get this.
But he does it.
The concept
What he does is incredible because he's essentially done it like a production car, but it's a brand new 1968. And it's
All
done,
checked out.
but it's not just the Bullet car. He does the 67 GT500, 67 GT350.
That's for sure.
It's fucking awesome.
Well, that's what I mean. Again, for all your listeners, you're the one that told us to use the '71 Barracuda.
I'm so excited. When I saw it in the previews, I was like, yes, he listened.
No, with context, I bump into you for the first time up at Taran's place. And, we got the handshake. Hey, how you doing?
Yeah.
And it was Joe write to me going, love the movies. Where the fuck are the muscle cars?
Number three.
Like, I had
that
no
was the
muscle car.
problem.
I was like, yeah, sorry. I'm like, okay, we'll put one in for the 4th one. He's like, you better. So we go into production, and I'm literally sitting in Berlin going, I'm fucking looking for cars. We're over in Europe. I'm going to find a fucking muscle car. Joe Rogan's going to fucking hate me. It's a bad review. I'm like, how do I do this? So I text Joe. I'm like, what's the perfect car? He's like, 71 Barracuda. Don't go with any of that pussy 69 stuff. You gotta get the 71. The 4
Yeah, you don't
headlights.
want to get the early Barracudas.
Right.
You want 70 and 71.
Right.
Those are the years.
That's
I
why
have
you
70.
sent me that picture, and that's the
Yes.
exact car.
It's
in
the exact
movie.
one with the fins. That's it. That's it.
Yep, exact car in the movie.
I mean, come on, that is
It's
fucking classic.
We ripped that thing apart. Like we had Tanner Faust, like one of the best drift.
I love that guy.
Tanner's awesome.
Yeah,
right?
he's awesome.
So he's helped us out on a lot of the John Wick. So we brought him into my stunt coordinator Scott Rogers and Steve Dunleavy brought him in to teach Keanu to do all the 240 and the 360 drifts and all that stuff. So he gets right in there. They just put the new suspension in, put the fucking insane engine in this thing, and they had Keanu doing these fucking circular drifts literally like in 2 weeks.
It hurts so bad watching you guys smash it up.
I know.
All of them. The 69
brutal.
Mustang in John Wick 2 when he
know.
destroys it. I'm like, no.
I know.
Oh.
Well, we destroyed probably a few more than we should have on this one.
Did you?
Yeah, you got to break a few eggs.
Well,
we
it
cracked a
worked.
couple,
I
but-
mean, how many people went out and bought 69 Mustangs and 70 Chevelles after that film?
I actually really enjoyed the Chevelle. I didn't think
Oh.
I'd like the Chevelle as much as I did.
I have one. I have
Do
one
you really?
just like that. Yeah,
I
mine's
love
not
that car.
green, but yours didn't look green.
No,
It looked
it
black.
had that like matrix green that looked.
It's a very dark
Yeah,
green.
exactly.
Yeah, but in dark, the way you film everything, so
Yeah.
dark and moody,
It's
it
got that
looked
kick
black.
to it.
Yeah.
I know I'm supposed to say the Mustang, but I really like the Chevelle.
I'm a Chevelle guy.
Yeah, I like.
I love the
Chevelle.
Mustangs too. I mean, look, I'm a muscle car head. I love them.
Yeah, they're so it's
yeah.
fun. The guys in Europe when you go shopping around, it's almost you'll find a. I know there's a lot of people here, but we thought we were gonna have a big problem looking for all the different muscle cars in Europe. Like there are amazing collectors over there.
Really?
That love their like warehouses full of.
It makes sense because
Right.
a lot of Americans collect European
Yeah.
cars.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, there's the 60,
Yeah.
the 70
I love
rather,
that
70
car.
Chevelle in front of the Continental.
That was kind of on a goof too. We wanted something else, and we ended up getting this, and we're like, oh my god, We just saw it when that's the car.
Yeah, that's the car.
You know, we were trying to make a choice, and Keanu just walked and goes, "No, that one." We're like, yeah, okay.
Well, it's it's in the Mount Everest of the muscle car classics.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Especially the 70. Chevelle's weird because like the old ones are nice. The 68 and 69 are cool. They're really cool. 70's the motherfucker though, and then 71 they go to like this goofy single headlight thing. It doesn't look right.
What? Yeah.
72 looks like shit.
Softened
they
up.
fucked with the rear taillights and
Well, I think that's what we were really trying to. You kind of summed it up right there. For like the John Wicks, they're like we did it as a goof. We thought we'd never direct again. We're like, Keanu was like, yeah, let's just do an action movie for us, you know, whatever. We're thinking no one's ever going to see it. Like, we'll just keep our second unit jobs just in case. And we're like, we got this big whiteboard, and we went in, we wrote down, okay, everybody take a marker, write down the 10 things you fucking hate about action movies. And then go write the 10 things you love about action movies that you'd want to see. We're like muscle cars, gun fu. We're like martial arts. We're like, you know, like suits. We want to bring a little class back. Like, what do we love about Bond? What do you love about Mission Impossible? What's Cruise doing? What's, you know, Daniel Craig doing? What's, you know, Matt doing in Bourne? Like, let's write down all the stuff we love that makes this, and then we're just gonna mix it up and throw all the stuff. Like, I have a museum fetish. I have an art fetish, obviously. I have a color fetish.
Yeah.
I have a dog fetish, obviously. I like making something about a dog. We had attack dogs on the first one, but like, it just didn't fit. So I could move that over to number 3 when we have more money.
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay, what's all the fun stuff that you want to see in action movies? And none of the structures that we had in any of the scripts fit for it. So we're just like, okay, we'll go back to Odysseus in like the Iliad or the Odyssey. And we'll go, okay, this guy just wants to get home. He just wants to grieve. And we're going to throw as many rocks at him as we can on the way and see if we can make obstruction. And we'll just have Keanu do an endurance race. And that's kind of how we did it. And just threw in everything else we love.
Well, it's got to be one of the most wild, pulse-pounding movies ever. Because, like, the scene... I did this thing with my friends. We do it every year. We do this Sober October thing. And one year we did a fitness challenge. And my friends... Ari Shafir, Bert Kreischer, and Tom Segura and me. And Bert Kreischer talks so much shit. And the fitness challenge was we all had to wear these heart monitors. And it's this thing called MyZones. And you have to keep your heart rate at 80%. It's like 1 point per minute. At 90%, it's like 2 points per minute. And so it's amount of points per day.
Right.
And I watched John Wick 50 times in a row, and I did. No, I'm not bullshitting, man. I watched the scene from the bathhouse scene 50 times in a row. I did 7 hours of cardio, and I did it just to try to break Bert because he was talking so much shit. And so, like, a normal score for a day, a guy would get like 400 or 300. I got 1,150 for the day.
Holy shit.
And I put it up just because I'm like, I'm going to kill you. Because he kept talking shit. I go, dude, I'm going to kill you. I'm gonna drag you to hell. I'm like, you're not going to be able to keep up. I'm gonna push myself to the point where I'm almost dead. And I'm gonna kill you.
There's probably a study in that visual stimuli,
yeah,
to heart rate and adrenaline.
So I'm on an elliptical machine watching that scene with a remote control,
just on loop,
just rewinding it, going back, rewinding it. That fucking
just
nobody is John Wick, and then you go through that,
and you just
killing
hit
in the
peak,
house, get to the red circle bar, assassinations left and right. So that just carried me through the whole Sober October month.
That's a psychosomatic study in
I
violence.
probably watched that movie 100 times. I'm not bullshitting.
That's crazy.
I watch it whenever I'm bored in the gym. I just throw it on.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool that you can watch it over and over
It's
again.
a fucking great, get you pumped up movie.
It was fun to make. But we didn't know. Honestly, we didn't know what we were doing.
Did you have any idea it would be so huge, though?
No, I
When it was
swear-
done, though, you had to know you nailed it.
No, we got weird comments back. We got like too many headshots, cut out all the headshots. We got you can't kill the kid Alfion and you can't kill the puppy. Somebody's got to live. We were independent, so everyone was scared that we weren't going to get picked up because when we shopped it, we went to like 4 or 5 studios and we didn't even finish the pitch. They're like, nah, we're cool, thank you.
Really?
Yeah, we didn't get bought. So we made the thing independently with Thunder Road, with Baz Ionic and Erica Lee. And it wasn't until we came out here actually to Fantastic Fest. Like, no one was buying the movie. So Baz was like, this great, let's go. We'll show it at Fantastic Fest, see if anybody will clap. So me, Dave, and Keanu sneak in real low key. We're going to do a little surprise thing at that. And Keanu will do his little, wave to the crowd. And the crowd goes fucking mental. like mental. And like the first family and friends we had, everyone was really quiet afterwards. Like no applause. It was just really quiet.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
And
What do you
then
think that is?
I just think at the time we're in the fast cut shaky cam, and it was, you know, the just it was so ludicrous that he's going to kill 68 or 86 people over a puppy, and no one got that. It was I know it's fucking. I mean, you got to remember, this is how we pitch it.
Right.
So like we'll go to a studio and go, okay, so we got this kid, we got Keanu Reeves, right? I know we're first time stunt guys, but it's an action movie, right? And he's like, okay, and he's going to shoot all this stuff, and so his wife dies of natural causes. Like yeah. The bad guys don't kill her. Like no. But they kill his puppy. I'm like, yeah. And he kills all the people because of the puppy, but not the what. Like, they're like, well, what happens next? I'm like, no, that's it. The next 45 minutes are like just, you know, rampage. And no, we didn't sell it.
Boy, they must be kicking themselves now.
Yeah, well, Lionsgate bought us internationally, and then they sold us to domestic. And since then, you know, we've gone through a couple regime changes at Lionsgate. But now, like, the last one was really cool. Like, everyone's on board. Like, Joe Drake, Nathan Kahane, Matt Leonetti, you know, Adam Fogelson, everybody that's part of the regime, they really pushed this last one. They knew John Wick was cool. They loved the third one, and they got on board. But for the first round, once we sold it, the movie came out. Before it even came out, there's like this lag. They bought it, and then there's like 6 months before we hit theaters. I think Dave went off and did Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 9 or whatever it was. I went off and did like the Grimsby Brothers, or Brothers Grimsby, Sacha Baron Cohen movie, second unit down in South Africa for like 5 months because I was broke. It was pretty funny. Yeah, we thought we'd never direct again, so we were like, we better go find some stunt jobs. And then it worked out. And then not even a month after it had opened, Keanu had called up and go, hey, they called me about doing number 2, but I'll only do it with you guys. You in? And I was like, are you kidding? Yes. Fuck, we're in. Whatever it takes.
Wow.
It was
That's
completely nutty, man.
Yeah, and number 2 just picks up right where number 1 left off.
Yeah, and we just were like, okay.
And right off the jump, like opening scene.
Yeah, we had no idea what to do. I was
Yeah.
like trying to figure out ideas for that. We're like, you know, it's like the sensory deprivation tank. It would just go into a room and not leave till we came up with an idea.
So you decided just the hunt for his car.
Yeah.
And
Well,
then
no,
he
it's funny.
destroys it.
I was sitting with my now partner Alex Young. We were doing a second unit gig. We were doing Agent 47. The second one, whatever that was called, I think it was Agent 47, right, in Berlin. And we're sitting there, and we had got the call to okay, we got to come up with an idea. And then my partner at the time, my partner now, Alex Young, was sitting there, and he's like, you got to get the car back, man. He lost his fucking car. I'm like, no one's going to care about the car. I'm like, dude. He's like, he fucking total loves muscle cars. He's like, you got to put the car, every guy he kills, he's going to get a piece of the car back. He's getting his fucking car back. I'm like, that's a great opening. He's going to get the car back.
Yeah. No, when he sits in the car and he's like touching the steering
He's just,
wheel
you can
and then
tell,
he
he's
gets
like,
the keys.
but that's Keanu. Like, Keanu that's not just John, that's Keanu. Keanu loves cars. He loves bikes. He loves the discipline of it. He loves, like, that's why he's got Arch Motorcycles, right? If you ever get a chance, you should check that shop out. It's the most pristine.
I'm
engineering
sure.
shop
I can't
ever.
fuck with motorcycles. I'm scared of them.
Yeah. But to build, just to watch how he's got all the water cutters there, it's a very artistic.
Oh, the bikes he makes are incredible.
Yeah, they're great. But
Yeah.
he brings that to he's very, not compulsive. He's very, he loves the art
Meticulous.
of things. Yeah, he loves
Yeah.
the art of it. He's fascinated by, like, who makes this cup, Joe? Like, how do you, like, everything he just fascinated over. He wants a story on it. He's one of the most curious, I guess, curious artistically, like how things are done or who people are. He's just got a genuine curiosity and love for things.
He's a very unique guy. And
I think so.
I've never met him, but just every interview you see with him, every movie, he's a very unusual person.
Yeah, and he's got, you know what, I think anybody really artistic, or at least the really, I think, artistic people that I've met, they maintain that little bit of, and I mean this in the best of ways, a little bit of childness wonder. They're still kids a little bit. Like, I could talk to you all day about, like, archery. I could talk to you all day about martial arts. I could talk to you all day about motorcycle. I could talk to you all day about movies. And I think you got to have that. You need that little inspiration. I think you need that little bit of wanderlust into certain things. And I think he's still got that. Like, he'll see a sequence, we'll come in with the nunchucks and do something, and he'll start giggling. He's like, you want me to do that? He's like, okay, that's pretty cool. And he just goes from totally serious guy to, okay, now how do I learn how to do and he just, everything you need to know about nunchucks, he wants to know about nunchucks. He just throws himself into it.
So how much time did he have to train martial arts before John Wick 1?
Oh, God, it wasn't that he was coming out of a couple films, so he hadn't been he wasn't in fight shape. That was so. You know how it's just like you can't just jump back in. So we gave him like I think 3 to 5 weeks with some of the trainers we found to get into shape. You know, cut weight, got himself back in, stretched. You know, kind of got back into where he was on the Matrix. And then we stuck him with the fight teams and the stunt guys. I think we had him within 3 months. That was probably the shortest one we did. That was about 3 months to get him into that shape and teach him all the Aikido stuff and the Aikijitsu.
Well, there's so much going on in those movies physically that you need to be proficient in.
Yeah.
The gun stuff, the throws, jiu-jitsu, striking, everything.
The jiu-jitsu was the new thing for him. Probably not the most physically demanding, but you know how it is. You're used to using your hands and feet. I mean, I'm sure you remember the first time you transitioned to jiu-jitsu. It's like, it looks easy, but completely.
It's an eye-opener.
Yeah, it really is. And even recently for me, I'm starting to feel like, I can move. It feels just as good to be on my back as my butt. But I think we took a lot of inspiration from dance. Most of what we do is dance. They're based on dance drills. They're not based on martial art drills. They look like martial arts. We kick, punch, but we don't train the actors in Thai pads or focus mitts or heavy bag. We'll do maybe a little of that for impact stuff, but it's mostly about memory. Because if a guy can punch and kick, that's great. But if you can't remember 5 moves, you're not much good to us. And it's more, martial arts is action, reaction, or causing the guy to be off balance. All our guys are trained to keep him on balance, to make it look crazy, but they got to dance with him. So it's about that metronome, keeping the beat going. So when we trained him, he hadn't been trained that way before. It was more like memorizing, a few moves, hitting some guy.
Specific sequence.
But we realized we had no money and we had no time. And every time you do punches and kicks, you see in most movies, right? Like they're on you, right, over my shoulder. Then, you take the hit and it goes over your shoulder so I can sell the hit. So you're always doing these reverses. So if I do a big wide shot profile, you throw in a nice roundhouse kick, I got to cut somewhere to show the impact, unless you're really kicking me, which not advisable most of the time. So every time, the more punching and kicking, striking you do, or if Keanu's not doing the motion, I got to cut more. And every time I cut, it's a setup. It's just time consuming. Not that it's bad or good. It's just time consuming. We knew we weren't going to have that, so we're like, fuck, what do we do? Okay, well, we're just going to grab people. We're just going to make it all grappling. And is that going to look? Remember, it's all during the Bourne, so everything's going to look very slow, compared to what it was. But we're going to do we're going to do Aikido, Aikijitsu, or Jiu-Jitsu. That's it. That's all you get. And if you're going to punch, it'll be a contact hit. That's all we're going to do. No punches, no kicks, no nothing. And we'll do it all in one take. And we're all like, yeah, sounds good. We thought it was a complete disaster after the first 2 days of shooting the fight scenes. We're like, this is going to suck. We're fucked.
Why'd you think that, though?
I think it was everyone's mindset. We did it out of necessity, and we thought it was cool. But you'd see people that would, where's the kick? Sometimes people look and go, well, he's doing the same throw over. I mean, Ippon Seoinage looks the same, but for us, the different grips, the different throw, it all looks different to me. I'm a throw. I love judo porn. I could watch a million different throws. It's awesome. For some people, it all looks the same. They want to see the cool jump spin hook kick or something like that. But then we put in the close quarter stuff, and when you're seeing it, remember, we don't have the muzzle flashes on, we don't have the blood splatters.
Right.
So you're just kind of seeing, it looks like they're dancing.
Right.
And then you put in the sound effects, and you put in the muzzle, and then you put in the fucking reload, and now it's making sense.
So what do you, when he's shooting in the actual filming, is he just pulling the trigger and it's just going click?
Well, see, that's the thing.
Do you have dummy rounds?
When you most movies you always see A to B cutting, right? I'm on you, you're the guy. Guns into camera, you fire the blank. Most firearms up until very recently fire blanks. And for the people out there, a blank is a round without the actual bullet, the lead piece that hits. But a blank still has a gunpowder charge in it. Say maybe even if it's only 50 grams of black powder. But at a range of 10 to 15 feet, that can kill you.
Yeah.
With concussive force. And you hear about all the accidents that have happened with blanks over the years. You can't put a blank gun to your head and pull the trigger; it'd kill you, right? So we wanted to do all this close quarter shooting. We wanted to put the muzzle and do all this stuff, close quarter contact stuff. So we went to our VFX guys, and the trick is not so much the muzzle flash, it's the lighting interaction, especially at night, and it's cycling the automatic, getting it in and having the casing ejection. All do, but it can add up with visual effects costs. So we went and we found the armorers, and through Taran and the technologies that we found through the armorers, we made a plug gun. A plug gun is a gun that has almost a steel rod inside the barrel, and it kicks the gas a different way. So we still have an ejection, but nothing, no energy, no flash, no padding or wadding comes out the barrel. Like, you couldn't put a live round in it if you tried.
So is it a lower level?
In England, they use some that are like almost air contained. They can do it. In us, it's a very, very small charge of black powder. So it's a very, very, we call them plug guns. They're very, very limited in the grainage.
So it's just enough to cycle the round?
Just enough to cycle it, yeah.
And
with
eject
nothing,
it.
Ejecting, but nothing comes out the barrel.
So all that stuff that you see, the blood splatter, that's all CGI?
The blood is all CG. There's one or two instances where it's not, but most of the blood is the blood's so good nowadays digitally that it saves so much time because we don't have to change the wardrobe to get it. I mean, like, you see in like a Tarantino, like in Django, Tarantino still uses old school blood packs, which I'm old school. I fucking love that. I think it's amazing. But with just the time and, you see a John Wick movie, it's like, the reset on 20 stunt guys taking hits. It'd be a 3-hour reset to change the wardrobe.
Right.
And headshots, you'd have to put a special head pack on with a wig and all that stuff. So we do the blood hits digitally. The muzzle flashes, we actually shoot against a green screen, and we'll call them elements, and then we'll plug actual muzzle flashes back into the movie later on. So they're not digital per se, but they are comped in or in a composition. And that's how we get the cool lighting effect and keep the cool muzzle flashes.
How long did it take you to film that red circle bar scene?
I think less than 4 days.
Really?
Yeah, we went really fast. And Keanu he had the flu. He had like 103-degree fever. He was going down. It was a rough day. It was freezing cold New York. He had the flu, super high temperature, and we were just flying through it. Like literally 2-3 takes. Move on, 2-3 takes. Move on.
Filming it with the flu. Wow.
Yeah, he's a trooper, man. He's hard to keep down.
Wow. That's incredible.
Yeah, he's a tough fucker.
A lot of actors have a fucking earache. They'll call it quits for the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe. Well, no comment.
No comment.
But like most of the people we work with, they get it, and we try to be smart too. Look, if there's another way, if we could have shut down and let them, it was like one of those. We either got to stop or we don't. We only get one shot, and you couldn't afford. And Keanu's that guy too. You can't make him.
Where did you film that?
It was all New York City.
But the red circle, where was it?
It was in this little. It was up in the theater district. I forget the name of it. It was a shut down little club that we just kind of opened back up and put our own lighting rig in there and just kind of lit it up. I mean, if you had seen it in the daytime, it was all like that shit brown leather. It looked like you were walking into Big Boys or something. It looked really bad. That gives credit to John Sella, the cinematographer on the first one. We went in, put our lighting grid up, flashed a lot of big screen neon lights, put the extras in funny colors, and we ran out of money, so we're like, we didn't know how to put the bad guys in something. So we're like, okay, what would Star Trek do? In Star Trek, we always call them the red shirts. The guys in Star Trek that were always getting killed. You have to do was wearing right there. Kirk was transporting down to the planet with the red shirt guy, and that guy was gone. So we put all our bad guys in the red shirts. They were just going to kill them all. I think we had a deal. There's a local, like one of the garment district things. I think we got all those red shirts for like $10. It was like a whole deal. So we just bought all the stunt guys red shirts. But yeah, we did it all in this shitty little club in like 4 days, maybe 4.5 days, something like that.
And this has got to be very stressful for you to be first-time director, doing all this, and then so much pressure, and also it's not picked up by anybody.
It's weird. I guess when you're in it, you're just trying to, you just go into that mode of don't suck. Like you don't have to win, you just can't lose. Just finish, get the day, do your thing. And my partner Dave Leach at the time, we both were we just loved being on set. So I think it was kind of you come from the action, you say, oh, these guys can do action and you can do that. But when you're trying to put the storytelling in, you're trying to do that. I mean, you might get other guys you'll talk to or guys that come from the stunt world and say, yeah, it's just like for me, it was nothing like Second Unit. Completely different. It had that different kind of pressure, but I guess you see how things come together more. You just do the action. You're worried about just making it look cool. You're trying to do something like you have Keanu Reeves, you have Ian McShane, you have Willem Dafoe, Lance Reddick, and you're kind of going, oh, I hope I don't fuck this up.
Who was the badass Russian guy that Keanu gets in a fight with and the guy throws him off the balcony?
Oh, that's Daniel Bernhardt. That's a good friend. He was the star of Bloodsport 2 and Bloodsport 3. Pull that one up.
Wow. No kidding.
Yeah, after Van Damme, Daniel was he's a Swiss actor. That's Daniel Bernhardt. Yeah.
He's very good.
He's awesome. He's a good close friend. But I had worked with him. He had hired me as a stunt guy when he was the lead actor in Bloodsport 2, Bloodsport 3, and Bloodsport 4 or 5. I don't know. They go on forever, right? But when it was time to do this, we called in every favor we had. And, you know, like that whole lower budget, that's how we got Scott Adkins and Mark Dacascos and Gary Daniels and Daniel Bernhardt, all these, Marco Zaror, all these great, you know, up-and-coming action
My friend
actors
Tate
and
Fletcher was in it too.
Tate was with the beard. We slammed.
Yeah.
Tate's awesome. Like he had that beard, and we're like, "What are we doing?" Oh, we got to choreograph for the beard. We slam down and shoot him in the head. Tate's awesome, man.
Yeah, I've known Tate forever.
He's a great guy, right?
He's awesome.
Good
I love
stunt
that
guy
dude.
too, and he's a really good actor. Like
Yeah.
he's got the eyes. Like he can pump those eyes out. He's
Yeah.
fantastic. But you look for those guys, right? And you put them in the cool spots.
Yeah, but this fucking
Look at him,
there's
come on.
Tate. This whole scene is just so fun.
Like,
It's such a
beard.
crazy scene.
Come on, that's a real beard there, by the way. That's
That's his real beard.
He's awesome.
Whoa.
Yeah, no, super fun. I mean, that's always the trick. But like, if you get the people you like around you, they kind of give you a hand. So we called in a lot of favors and a lot of friends, and you know, they all know it's your first time, like the crew and the cast. Like Ian McShane, everybody kind of knew. Keanu had gone out. Keanu had one day off on John Wick 1. And, you know, New York City base camp is like blocks away from the set. So me and my partner, Dave Leach, it's Ian McShane's first day on set. So it's like 4 a.m. We're going to walk over to his trailer, introduce ourselves, say, hi, how you doing? I mean, it's kind of a big deal for us. Keanu's sitting outside his trailer at like 4:30 in the morning. It's one day off. And we're like, what are you doing here? He's like, I just thought I'd come in early and talk to Ian and, you know, warm up for you a little bit. And we're like, that's what kind of guy he is. So he kind of greased the wheels for us. So he walks in and, you know, Ian's like, so I hear it's your first movie. Don't worry, we'll get you through it. You know, everybody was so cool because we just kind of admitted we didn't know what we were doing and we wanted to learn and get our thing going.
How difficult is it to take the dailies and then edit it down to a film, like the editing process?
You know, to put the assembly together, to actually just put clips together, it's not that hard. I mean, good, bad, you know, you could take a couple shots at it. And you don't know this until you try it a couple times. It's like, where's the actual, like, how much can you take away? It's like chipping away at the statue, right? It's not adding things, it's taking away things to really shine what's good. You know, lose some of the good to get to the great. So you don't want to cut your action, you don't want to cut any scenes, but then you watch the movie as a whole. And this is what I'd say to any other editor or directors out there that are just getting started. If you just edit a scene or you just edit a sequence or you just edit like an act and then watch it and go, I got it, you still haven't got it because there's this thing, we've all felt it in movies about pacing, right? There's a way a 3-hour movie can feel like 2 hours. There's a way a 1-hour movie can feel like 3 hours. It's all about the pacing, right? So what I learned from it is you got to sit, and every time when you're in that place where you can just make these 1 minute or 2 minute changes, you got to take the time, sit back and watch the whole thing. No pee breaks, no phone calls. And that's what we did on Wick 4. A lot of us, like, everyone kept telling me it's too long, I know, but let's just watch it. And my editorial would hate me because like twice a week we're like, everybody's watching it. You know, like we're watching this. And you'd have to sit and get through the 2.5 hours of it. And that's the only way you know. And then you're like, still, wow, we're not there. This is too fast.
But is it hard to, when you're in the middle of it, is it hard to see it?
Yeah.
Because you've seen it so many times, is it hard to see it the way another person is going to see it?
It's like knowing you're lost, but also not being nervous by it. It's being lost in a good way. Because you can feel it, right? You can feel there's something cool there, and you can feel like I just go back to being an audience member. What do I wish I had seen in Star Wars?
Push that microphone up to your face.
Sorry,
it's okay.
You know, you're trying to figure it out, right? And that's the exciting part. You know, there's something tingly there. You know, there's something good, but what is it? It's kind of, you can't be afraid to try because now digitally we can go back and forth and have 20 versions of the movie. Like it's not like the old days where you cut film and glue it.
Yeah.
So we would always make a new. We'd try. I've always had good editors. I've always had young, hungry, great editors that wanted to experiment, and they swing big. So let's just can we do this movie in an hour and 20 minutes? And they'll do a version of it. Can we do this hour? Can we do this in an hour and 45? What's the version of it? And you'll start to see things that you obviously hate, but you'll also see choices that you could make to tighten things up. I know, I'm sure everybody you talk to will have a different process, but like I think it's both terrifying and exciting. And again, it's hard to explain. You can feel like you're on the right path, even though you don't know it. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And you just have to keep trying till you watch it in the room with the sound, and you're like, "That's it. That's the movie I want to see."
Did you bring in people that hadn't seen it before and just watch them?
Yeah,
watch
I'm a big fan of like friends and family stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and like at first your ego may not be ready. because like everybody likes something else. Everybody thinks something should be cut. Everybody thinks it's too much blood or not enough blood. I literally in the same day, I've had some of our female friends came in and wanted more action, and some of our guy friends were like, "We want less action." Like you just couldn't tell what people wanted. But you listen to what they all love, and that was the cool thing. They all loved Keanu. They all cried when the puppy died. They all, they all felt it was something they hadn't really seen before. It was action in a different way. They liked the mythology part of it. They liked the color. They liked the sound. They thought it was all very well made. I mean, whether you like it or not, like the crew was really good, that kind of thing. And that's what sticks with you. But like I'll show my movie there. I love showing it. Because I love it. I get some of the most insane comments, and it's pretty funny. Like even the reviews. Like Keanu and I have this little thing. Like so I know I've talked to some director friends that don't read reviews. We read like everyone. We're like masochistic about it, or like everything on Rotten Tomatoes or Honest Trailers or Everything Wrong With or like, the Critical Drinker. All these great guys on YouTube are just fucking hammering us on little shit. And we're kind of laughing because like, okay, fair game. That we're right. We're a little over the top. But it's very interesting to see what grabs people because partly you're kind of like, okay, what's working? You just can't let it direct you. Really? You don't want to chase the dragon of what other people want. You want to do the movie that you want and hopefully people like it. But it's very interesting to see what does touch. Because, I mean, it's the only true north you have is what you like and what you're interested in. And that's how you drive your show. And that's what makes the show unique because it's from you. If you start doing what you thought was popular, what everybody wanted to see, and it didn't work, how do you course correct? You don't know because it's not you anymore, right?
Yeah.
And that's just kind of what we try to do.
Yeah, that becomes a real problem with people that pay too much attention to criticisms or comments.
Well,
you can get lost in the middle of I was actually just talking to a friend the other night that he said he thinks about negative comments while he's writing his jokes. I was like, ugh.
I don't know if that's productive in the right way. I think it's okay to be aware of it, but I certainly wouldn't want to. I don't want to sit down and write a movie based. Well, hey, how many sequels have you seen where they bring back the same cast over and over again, or the same jokes, or the same gag, or the same because they think it works.
Right.
Ooh, we better not fuck with it.
Right.
Okay, that's great in a lot of businesses, but in entertainment, I don't think that's going to push or move the needle the way we need to do it. I think we got to take chances, right? Otherwise, what are we doing?
Well, you've created one of the interesting things about the whole Wick franchise is that you've created this universe of the Continental, this universe of all these different rules that this group of assassins has, and now you have this opportunity with that to do so many other things because you have there's a whole world. We have tea for you there if you want it.
Oh, thanks. I guess that's, we created the world based on stuff that we had done. Being a stunt guy, you travel around, you live in hotels all the time. Wouldn't it be cool if the concierge gave you a firearm? That'd be great. Or if they had a gun range downstairs instead of a gym, that'd be fantastic. But it's also again, if you made your list of the top 10 things you wanted to see in movies, you'd have dogs, ninjas, muscle cars, guns, archery, sword fight, and then you made a list of the top 10 people you'd want to see. I want to see Donnie Yen fight Steve McQueen, do Bruce Lee on Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
We just tried to create a franchise where we could put all that stuff in and no one would call us on it. Because there's we've been called for the superhero movies and all the other stuff, which are all interesting, and I'm a big fan. I just don't think that's what I'd be good at.
Right.
I think a little crazier mindset of what's not being done. How do we get that in? The old Sho Kosugi movies, Enter the Ninja or something like that. Or Chuck Norris's Invasion USA. Things that were kind of so nutty and wacky, but they hit a chord. So how do we bring that back in just and I don't want to say a cooler way, but a more modern or technically more developed way.
Yeah.
That's why we spend so much time on the look of the John Wicks. We want people to take the action. Look, we're trying to do a good job here. We're not just trying to phone it in. But at the same time, we do want to be a little crazy. How many dog bites to the crotch did I do?
Quite a few.
You know how long it takes to train Belgian Malinois to bite a crotch?
Does it take a lot?
No, actually about a day.
They're pretty smart.
It takes a stunt guy a lot longer to get used to being bitten in the crotch.
What do you do to pad their crotch? You give them
We have these cool little Kevlar suits. It's funny, right? Andrew, our dog trainer, when I first he's the guy that trains all the wolves for Game of Thrones. That's how I found him.
Wow.
Right? So I called him and said, like, I have dogs myself, and you know how you play with the dog, he's that little ball, and you have the little tug of war fight with him. I was like, I want to do that. How do I do that? Because like I don't know if people mostly know, when you've normally up until very recently, if you see a dog attack at a movie, that's a dog attacking a human. The dog doesn't know it's a fucking movie. The dog is just the dog is literally trying to hurt that person on camera. It's not good for the dog. It's not good for the person. Those are professional animal trainers wearing a bite suit that, all fucking Kevlar padded. You've seen them. It's bulky as fuck, like a suit of armor. And the dog just goes to kill him. We didn't think that was such a brilliant idea in the way we wanted to do things. So it's like, there's got to be another way to train dogs, because I can train my dogs just to wrestle with me. So what we do is we take these long cylindrical pads, bite pads, that are painted green screen green, right? And they're Velcroed on one side with a ripcord, like the parachute ripcord. So they're laced onto the either the forearm, the crotch, the leg, the calf, wherever we want the dog to bite. And the dog's been trained to attack green. So you can't you can't wear green on set.
Holy shit.
Green on set. So we've got the dog trained to attack these green bite pads. And the dogs, that's why we go out. Andrew finds the Belgians that seem to have the most promise, and they're trained to wrestle. They're not trained to attack. They're not trained to kill or to bite. They're trained to wrestle, to have fun. So the dogs think it's now fun. So we're training them. Usually when a dog wrestles with you over a bone, you know, down boy, down. We've encouraged it. So the dog is actually having fun, so it's not mentally traumatic on the animal. And we want the stunt, so it's fun. So the stunt guys go in for their martial art training and their physical training, Keanu and whoever else we're working with. And for an hour and a half a day, each stunt guy that worked with the animal has to go in, because the dog has to recognize you, has to smell you, has to get used to him. The camera guys, everybody that's around dogs has to go play, basically just an hour of play. So the stunt guys go in, put the gear on, and they wrestle with the dog for the hour. And then the dog gets used to them, and we put wherever it's got to go. And then we have these really cool sleeves that have a little bit of a bite-proof ethafoam in it, covered with a really soft pad so the dog doesn't hurt his teeth. And the dog will go in and bite. And Belgians, once they clamp, that's why they call them like maligators, once they bite, they don't let go. So we had to figure out a way to get them off when we yelled cut, because they're so angst about getting the temp. So we have the ripcord going. So when we yelled cut, the stunt guy would pull the ripcord, the pad would release, the dog would hold the pad, walk away with it, and just hold on to it for the next 5 minutes until he got tired and just would drop the pad. So we had 5 Belgians, and then we just rotate. Every take was a new dog, because the other one had to let the pad go.
And what did Halle Berry have to do? How much?
Well, we figured, since just like we did with Shamir Anderson, this one, you can't have it, because we shoot so wide. We couldn't have a trainer, right behind the couch telling the dog. So Andrew and I had talked about, well, we'll just raise the dogs for the next 6 months with the cast. So Halle, for I think it was almost 8.5 months actually, Halle would come in and she'd learn to train them. She'd carry the little treats, and so they listened. The 2 Belgians that were with her in number 3, there's actually 4 of them, but the 2 that were always on camera, she literally trained from scratch.
No kidding.
So they were like her dogs.
Wow.
And they listened to every word she said. Like, she could just snap her fin, and they'd be like, boom. But it got crazy to the point where, that's Andrew back there, but yeah. I mean, if you came over to Halle, and the dogs were there, they'd give you the eye like, what are you doing next to my master?
Yeah, they're intense dogs.
They're so brilliant. But they look at you. They sort things out.
Yeah, the team guys call them meat missiles. Yeah. they fly. We've played so many videos of Belgian Malinois running up hills.
Oh my God!
Just jumping over walls, and they literally can fly through the air.
That's really one of the Belgians that ran up the wall in that movie. That was like a 13.5-foot thing.
Yeah, it's insane. They are such athletes.
And the funny thing, they're not huge, but it is a real 65 to 75 pound animal.
Yeah.
And I think the funniest thing when we're bringing in a new stunt team, and we've got before we even do anything, you line them up and you let the dogs go in, and everyone says they're good with dogs, or I'm a dog person, until you see that. You see the dog attack on camera. If you were to turn that camera around, what you see are 2 trainers holding this dog back, and the thing is like, just ready to go. And it's a whole nother level of animal behavior.
Yeah.
And you can see who gets a little shaky,
yeah,
right? And who's comfortable. Dave Camarillo, who we were talking about earlier, who trained Keanu for the judo and the jiu-jitsu in number 4, I think he did over 100 dog hits. He for whatever reason, Crazy Dave and the dogs bonded. And they were both. They spoke the same language. They loved him, So whenever we needed a dog hit, it's Dave sitting there in a
wow.
pad because he's so, I don't know if you like, he's so calm.
Yeah,
and the
Dave's
dogs
awesome.
vibe on that. And even when they're going, they're just go play with Dave. And Dave would go and wrestle with him. And I think he had done so many by the end of the movie. Keanu gave him a special T-shirt of just like 109 dog hits or something. It's crazy. But like the surprise is the first time you see the stuntman get hit by the dog because it doesn't look that big until 75 pounds hits you at 20 miles an hour.
Yeah.
It sits them down, and they all get up with the same eyes of like, what just happened?
Yeah.
It's pretty impressive.
We
Very
use those
impressive.
on Fear Factor. to
Really?
Attack people. Yeah. But unfortunately, we found that they're too light. So, like with really heavy people, with
Yeah.
really strong people, well, they'd get bit and they could carry the dog as they ran.
Yeah.
And so then we moved to Mastiffs.
Which are not small.
We had this animal called a Regency Mastiff that's part pit bull, part Neapolitan. And this guy had bred them specifically so they don't show any animal aggression. And
Really?
but when they bite, it's just,
Well,
it's horrific. They're
like that.
150, 160 pounds.
Exactly, right?
And they're just built like an athlete.
What did they have to do? Just attack them and then they had to walk with them?
Yeah, well, the people, with the Mastiffs, there was a room, and they had to enter into the room, and they had to perform a very specific task. I don't remember what it was, but as soon as they get into the room, they're wearing a bite suit, and nobody got past
No.
the dog. The dog's name is Curly. The dog, they used the dog for the original, one of the Hulk movies, the one with Eric Bana. Those were the dogs, they modeled it. And when Nick Nolte, that's it right there. See, the original dog, though, see if they can find the original dog. The original dog is this. Just Google Regency Mastiff. See if you can find that. Yeah. See if there's any images. So those are the dogs in the Hulk, but the actual, yeah, that's what they looked like. They look like giant pit bulls.
Yeah, they have the jaw that goes out to here.
But they're so sweet, like really calm. I actually had one of their dogs. I had Curly's son. His name is Johnny Cash.
Awesome.
Yeah, he lived a long time. He lived like 13 years, which is really old for a Mastiff.
Yeah, for a big dog like
Yeah,
that.
but yeah. So the Malinois, they were just a little too light. Because, like, with the bite suit on, it hurts, but it's 65 pounds.
Right.
You can run with 65
Yeah,
pounds.
it's like a suit of armor on
Yeah.
you, for sure. Unless there's 2 or 3 of them.
So how long did Halle Berry have to train for that movie? Because she had so many physical... First of all, she's
Yeah.
awesome. She's so good in that
great.
movie. She's so believable.
Yeah.
And she's so, like, physically adept. Like I had no idea she could move like that.
No, I think she came, I hadn't even written the script yet. I just got a call from WME and my agent saying, hey, would you like to meet Halle Berry? Yes, of course. I'd love to meet Halle Berry. Yeah, huge fan. I think she was down either that day or the next day, just banging on my door. Right? And I'm like, oh, okay. Open it up. She's like, just walks in, jeans and a T-shirt, goes, hi, I'm Halle. I was like, yes, I know who you are. Of course. She's like, I want to be in your movie.
Wow.
And she was that straightforward, no bullshit, no this. I'm going to be in your movie, and I'm like, I'm flattered, thank you, that's very cool of you. We haven't even written it yet. Yeah, I know, that's why I'm here now. You're gonna write it for me. And I'm just laughing.
That's some serious confidence.
She was right on, and I'm like, okay, cool. Let me give it a think. We'll figure out something. And now I'm like, oh, I gotta write something cool for Halle Berry. But it was like I think 3 or 4 months later. I was like, okay, you can come back in now. She's like, that's awesome. It's great. Change this. Okay, I see it more like this. Okay, we're going to do this Ode to Casablanca. So I'm going to be like Rick. I got it. I'm going to do this. And she's like, when do I start training? I'm like, well, technically we go into she's like, no, I'm going to start training today. Just tell me what to do.
Wow.
I mean, she was so on it, just on. I was like, okay, well, first let's get you into shape. Tell your trainer this is what we need you to do. We need you to stretch. We need you to get all the conditioning stuff in so we can start taking you in. And we literally had to slow her down the first week. Like, if you haven't done shoulder rolls, if you haven't been thrown before, if you haven't done this stuff, you're going to pull something. So she just went crazy the first week. Like, we couldn't kick her out of the gym. She's another Keanu. We just couldn't get rid of her. She's in the gym all the time. She's like, put her up at Taran's, and like, she just lived it up there. She'd go with Keanu. She's like, whenever Keanu goes, I'm going. So just make room for me.
After that movie, did she ever want to do it again?
Yeah, we were actually been in talks several times to try and get. I hate the term spinoff, but they're trying to do other satellite projects off the Wick franchise. which it's very flattering. Hopefully, there'll be good ones.
I
hope.
don't believe John Wick is dead.
Is John dead or is John Wick dead? We don't know. We just don't know.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Because it was very ambiguous at the end of the movie.
It's supposed to be, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see how Keanu and the director feel in 3-4 years.
You got to take him to that bar in Japan and get him,
Exactly.
get him drunk.
Well, we're going in September, so like you talk to me again then, man. It could be like John Wick 5.5, man. I don't know.
You never know.
But Halle wants to do. She's definitely still game for. And like, you know, when Halle came, I think she had just turned 50 or 51. I don't want to miss it, but like she's in amazing shape.
Yeah.
Amazing shape. Like I can't even tell you to see her in person.
She looks 35. Yeah, it's
freaky.
insane.
Like
It's insane.
Like literally.
Well, she's so fit. I mean, that's the key. Like never stop.
This is one of the first couple weeks she ever did anything with us. Like she hadn't been doing anything at this point.
It's
she's
so
still fun.
choreographed, right? Oh wow, scissor takedowns.
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah,
and
she-
she trained down at Terrence too. I saw videos for there.
She's so game. She's like one of those. You know, she's like Keanu. They think on the deal. Like some people turn off to memorize a choreography. They learn it so much that they can throw it away. It's like learning your lines, right? They learn their lines so much they can just flow. They spend so much time doing that because they know they want to add in their little details and stuff. They make it theirs. It's pretty impressive to watch. You almost feel lazy next to him. Like, God, I need to work harder. You know, but it's cool. When the crew sees it, you know, everybody, you can always tell when you're on a good movie or if people don't give a shit. And then the crew kind of doesn't give a shit. But when you see the cast, it starts with Keanu. Guy never leaves set. Then you got him and Halle, and neither one want to leave set. They don't want to miss a beat. They don't want to miss a chance. And then you got the rest of the cast and the rest of the crew. And the crew's like, oh, we gotta. It's just this constant inspiration thing. And it's pretty fun. It's pretty cool.
Now aren't you guys doing some sort of a television show that's based on the Continental?
There's coming out. It was on what was it? I think it's on Amazon now or whatever, called The Continental. It's kind of a spinoff that was done very separate from the world that we've created in the feature world. It's something that the studio had done a little on the side of us as we were going just to see what they could do with this Continental series. It's kind of interesting. It's really,
out?
It's not out yet. I think it comes out
This
end
is
of
it?
end of the summer, I think.
But there's not a
There's no tie-in to the John Wick films, but it does
Really?
have it has the Continental in it. It's like kind of like Ian McShane's backstory a little bit and how he got there. A little disjointed from the feature stuff, but it's got just another. I don't know. It's kind of a cool world they built like that. It was very on the side of us, and then hopefully we'll be seeing another TV show that's really about the John Wick features.
The bar at the Continental, the secret assassin's bar,
Yeah.
the door at the bar.
Yeah, that's.
I made a door like that
Did you
for
do
my
the slide?
comedy club. Yeah, you could open up the thing to see who's coming
See,
through.
it's awesome.
Literally, it's the same door. When people go, what the fuck is this door for the green room of the comedy club? And they go, that's the door from the Continental.
That's the
Ours opens like a hinge, but yeah, it's the same sort
That's
of deal.
pretty awesome.
It's pretty dope.
We've inspired the comedy green room. That's
Yeah,
cool.
like when people see it, they go, what the fuck is up with this door? Like, what are you expecting? I go, no. It's like this fucking real heavy steel door.
There's something cool about that, right?
Oh, it's real cool until someone gets
just-
their finger slammed in it. You know, 'cause
Nothing
it's-
says secret world like a
Yeah,
slam finger.
but it is kind of like a secret world deal. Like you have to punch the code in to get into the door, or you have a key fob.
That's kind of like subcultures have always interested me. There's always sub rosa, right?
Yeah.
You know, this the sub rosa world of the inside, whether it's
Yeah.
comedians or stunt guys or cops or military. There's always that in clique, and I think that's what fascinates a lot of people a lot of times because they want to be part of that little. We're originally going to name. Some people give me shit because we called number 3 Parabellum, and then number 4 was like just John Wick 4. We actually had a title for John Wick 4. It was called Hagakuri, Japanese word that literally meant like hidden leaves. It was a treatise on samurai code of ethics, and it really spoke to. It was kind of like the art of the way of dying. Like how do you prepare yourself for a good death? And a lot of it dealt with you can only relate to people. A warrior can only relate to a warrior, you know, whether you're on other sides or not. A cop can only relate to a cop, and like, you know, whatever. A teacher can only relate to a teacher. That inside sub rosa thing that only each other knew each other, kind of thing. We got it, but we didn't want to put a title on it. We kind of lost it. But I thought it was a really cool thing about being sub rosa or being in the inside clique of something. Yeah, maybe on the next one.
Why'd you decide just?
It was like, it was the actual treatise. It was from like 1646 or something like that. Unfortunately, it had been used during World War II as a rallying cry for militaristic Japan to get behind. So in some Asian markets, it could be considered.
Could be a problem, and
We didn't want to take
China
a chance. It was kind of, in between
Korea.
China, Japan, Korea, and we're like, okay, I get it. We want to be sensitive to that, but we still thought it was a cool name.
yeah. It's what a weird world it is to make films and then have them be distributed worldwide.
It's because it's like, I'm sure you're always going to piss off somebody.
Yeah.
You're always going to get something, or somebody can be something. So you just, again, I like doing the fantasy film kind of thing. I like creating our own worlds. I like doing that because it's ours and it's not taking a side. It's not really, I don't have to adhere to history. I don't have to adhere to an IP. You can kind of just do our thing. And I think that kind of freedom helps a lot. I don't think people get, as bent out of shape sometimes on that because you're creating your own world.
Do you feel like there's room for another thing like this in your life? Like, is this something you're going to try to do again? Like, recreate an entire ecosystem, an entire world?
That's a good question. I don't know. Again, like we say, it was unintentional, completely unintentional, almost a fluke. We did one. Then we didn't know. I didn't know anything about the Continentals worldwide or the markers or anything till the second one. We made that up. And the third one, we're like, oh, let's call it the high table. Sure, someone will buy that. Sure. And we just keep, kind of riffing on stuff to do and just use your imagination.
But it works.
It does, and I think again.
And it works that it's
huge fan of-
intercontinental too, that it's international. Like when he goes to Italy and he goes and gets suited.
Right.
out
Well,
there.
that was probably one of my favorite things. I love the suit. I
Yeah.
love
That actor, whoever that actor was, that is explaining to him the guns and.
Oh, what is it? Peter Seranovitz.
Yeah.
Seranovitz. Yeah, he was in a couple. He was in God,
Yeah,
he's so good.
The suits and the guns, like this whole scene.
That guy
is
right
awesome.
there, the ball guy right
Yeah.
there. That's Luca Mosca. That's actually my wardrobe supervisor. I couldn't cast somebody in time, so I made him do it. And then
Well,
Peter
he's gr-
Seranovitz.
This guy's fucking
He's so
great.
fucking funny.
Yeah, you just
a great
buy
comedian.
him as a complete psycho. That's
He literally flew in on the day, learned the lines, did the gig, and flew out.
really.
Yeah, he was awesome.
Wow, he's incredible.
What was that movie? Spy with Statham.
Oh yeah.
He was the Italian. He played the Italian spy.
Right.
He was so funny.
So the guy that's doing the wardrobe was your actual wardrobe
Well, yeah,
guy?
I kept telling, like, people would come in and start reading. I'm like, just be like my guy here. Be like my wardrobe guy. And we couldn't find anybody to be Luca here. And Luca was so subtle. I'm like, fuck it. Luca, you're doing it, dude. You're doing it.
And he'd never acted before?
Never acted before in
He's
his life.
great.
He's fantastic.
He's
I'm like,
great.
I got that, like, same in number 4, like the actress that plays Akira. That's Rina Samayama. She's a pop star from England, but she had never acted before either.
Wow.
I just saw her in her YouTube videos, and I was like, she's got to be able to act. Like, she's got so much presence, and we just picked her up too. Sometimes you get really lucky and cool like that,
Was there ever a time while you were doing 4 where you're like, this is just too over the top?
Oh yeah, like every fucking day, like
the shotguns that spit fire.
We're like, and you just gotta, like, you're knee deep in it, and you do have those moments of, like, you're like, yeah, let's go, okay, get that going, and you kind of, like, you have those quiet moments where you're like, oh, I've gone way too far. Like, you watch the monitor, and, like, you can feel everybody behind you, and you can kind of get that vibe that, most of your crew thinks you're crazy. And you're like, yeah, let's spin the car one more time around. Can you do it twice?
It's just so over the top.
It's so over the top.
And there's it's so, like, I guess you kind of have to one-up the movies before, but you just, like, one-up the one-up the one-up. You just kept going.
I think I guess I didn't want it to make it feel like it was a mistake or we were just trying to do the one-up thing. Like, no, we're all in. We're going all out. And Keanu, I have those talks. He's like, did you jump the shark? I'm like, yeah, let's jump 2 sharks. Let's just go. We'll just keep going. Because why fall down? A lot of my influences are all from Buster Keaton or Harold Lloyd, a lot of silent movie stuff. And
Really?
Buster made, you go back and watch the movies now, and go back, like, the documentary on Buster Keaton or Harold Lloyd. Go back and watch
How
those.
did Buster Keaton do all that stuff?
Yeah, I'm not
Because
sure.
we've watched some of those clips, and it's like, how are you doing? Because there's no special effects
No,
back then.
I have been a part of so many great stunt teams and work with so many great stunt riggers and visual effects people. there are still gags that he does back then that we're all kind of like, yeah, it's a bit sketch, man. I don't think you do a lot of what he even do nowadays. Because look, this is
stuff.
I
Yeah.
mean, they're cranking the footage a little bit, but that's him falling off a motorcycle at
Yeah.
the end. He's still doing these are all great gags, and if you miss, there's a penalty.
Well, how about the one when he grabs a hold of the back of a train and he gets pulled?
The trolley.
Look at this right here. This is this is going probably a little bit slower.
Yeah, but you know what happens
still,
if you miss?
You're dead.
Yeah,
dead as fuck.
There's no out.
Yeah.
And when he's got watch the shit he's doing here.
How's he even doing that?
This is early wire work that you can't even tell.
It's wild.
But every time he falls and does this stuff, those are real falls. He's buried a mat in the
look at that.
dirt there, but he's still taking the hit.
Yeah, it's a big hit too. I mean, that's a long.
Look at this.
I mean, he's just...
watch this shit. He's gonna grab the dummy as it comes over the waterfall. He's still got to do it.
Yeah, it's insane.
We'd be doing it with green screen, double safeties. We'd have wires on them. We'd have a backup in there. The stunt guy would do it a couple times. And that's not Tech 12 rope there.
And that's a woman. That's not even a dummy.
No, yeah. He's just throwing it right to the ledge.
Yeah, he just throws it to the ledge. There's so many of these. Look at that.
I mean, the penalty for that miss
is you're dead.
Yeah. I mean, that's not breakaway balsa wood.
No.
I mean, that's probably one of his most famous gags that Jackie's repeated and a few other things. But that's, so I love this. This is early trick cutting and stitching.
Yeah.
But there's gags he does, and we're still like, whoa.
How is he not completely broken by the time he was done filming? I mean, the one when he grabs the train and you see him go sideways, he's holding onto the train and it's
the trolley go. I think it's this one right here.
Yeah, this here.
Watch this. He flag pulls it.
How the fuck?
You know what your deltoid's got to be?
Right. You have to be so
super fucking strong.
How about your grip?
I mean,
This is one.
Yeah, watch this thing.
How does he do this? This.
Oh, that's a
wire.
He's got a wire coming out of his belt. You can see it right there. He's probably got an arbor up top there. But this is the one where I think they said he broke his neck on this one.
Really?
Yeah, he got injured on this one.
Back then, when you broke your neck,
you
wasn't a lot of help.
Yeah, you weren't exactly.
I don't know what the fuck the doctors did for you, but this here. Boom!
He fell on.
Falls
That's
down
a
railroad
track.
Yeah.
There's no pads down there.
Ugh.
Look, and he got up. Look at this guy.
I mean, what the fuck? That guy. And how many movies did he do like that? A lot.
Oh my God, he had a ton. He had over 100 productions by the time he was done. And Harold Lloyd was no slump either. Charlie Chaplin, all those guys. But
the point is, to fall, all of them.
There's no trickery to it. They just, they gave you the setup and then moved on. But that's pretty over the top too.
Yeah.
So we're like, okay. So when we send that guy down the stairs in number 4, we're like, Keanu stunt double this guy, Vincent from France. Same, just muscles where you shouldn't have muscles. And, we scouted Sacre-Cœur and was like, there's over 400 steps and the portion we're using is 222. We're like, yeah, we got to send somebody down this.
Jesus
And we're
Christ.
like, nah, we're going to make Keanu climb up. Then we'll send him down. And then, you know what? We'll send him down again. So we had Vincent come out and look at it. And Vincent's English is limited. He's just, very French. And he looked down and said, Vincent, you cool? One take, you're going to... He's like, we just lit up a cigarette and said, sure, when do we go?
Really?
He did it the first take, he went down only about 10 steps. And he got stuck in the railing. Second take is the take that's in the movie where he just went all the way down, 200 steps.
Yeah, I mean, this is crazy. That this
we
guy did this. What kind of padding is he wearing?
He's just wearing the regular Kevlar padding the stunt guys use. Some
getting
gel
some
packs.
Fucking air too.
Vincent's not shy.
Oh Jesus Christ!
Yeah, he's great. And Keanu doing the overlap, it's awesome. Yeah, we have a stair fetish too.
Yeah,
love throwing guys. It's car hits and stairs. It's funny. You get Tom Cruise hanging off the airplane.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's awesome.
Yeah,
right. I think it's amazing. It's awesome. I know what it takes to do that. But a lot of people can't relate to just, hang off an airplane. They've never done it. But everybody's falling on ice. Everyone's falling down stairs.
Yeah.
Everyone gets the car thing. So we focused a lot on body falls and, falling down stairs. Shit that makes people go, ooh, that could really hurt.
Yeah.
Especially being hit by a car. I love car hits. Love watching that.
Yeah, he gets hit by a bunch of
Oh,
cars.
yeah. When you see the stunt guys actually get hit by the cars, you're like...
In 2, in the scene when he's retrieving his car, And you know,
he whaps this one stunt guy, Efka. He whaps him with the reverse 180. He really sent him. It was a good hit.
Really?
I was like 20 feet away watching it going, oh, that was a great hit.
how did you do when he hits the pole?
We had a little bit of a wire on him. So the car hits him and sends him. The wire doesn't really pull him, but when he hits the pole high, the wire helps the landing. So we decelerate him a little bit. Little bit.
A little bit. But
it still
is he
sucks.
actually hitting the pole?
Yeah, it still sucks.
Oh,
Absolutely
Jesus
still sucks.
Christ.
But like the downside, just in case he gets knocked out, we don't want to land on his head. So,
Yeah, here
poor
it is.
Efka right here. Yeah,
Boom, bang. I mean, how the fuck?
yeah, it's fun. Again, we're super fortunate. We get some of the best stunt guys, and most movies prep for like 6 to 10 weeks. We'll prep for 5 months with our core stunt team. So the guys are really trying to design stuff, and other than some bumps and bruises, no one's ever really been tweaked.
That's amazing.
So that's again just having the right people. Yeah.
Well, I guess that helps that you have this long background of stunt work.
I think it helps knowing who to call, and I think you get that sense of how far you can push. And again, I'm not against CGI. I'm not against digital help. We do so many digital stitches and hide things. Like I think it's all great. It's just what gives you that energy or that feeling of what's going on. If I could do it all digitally and get the feeling and not hurt anybody, yes, that's an option. But there's something to still real world physical effects that make people still crunch.
Yeah, there's something about CGI, and that's the big. I had Rick Baker on, and we were talking about monster movies where they use CGI versus monster movies where they use like his type of special effects.
Well,
and
The
makeup.
Thing is still one of the best.
Yeah.
You watch The Thing or American
Werewolf in London,
one of my
yeah.
favorite all-time films.
It's one of the greatest movies ever.
Ever. And it hits you in all the right ways.
Yeah.
It's so subtle. It's almost like an old Hammer film with Christopher Plummer or Christopher Lee.
Oh,
But,
okay,
if you watch, it's got that weird kind of in the moors, old school fog machines when they're in the thing.
Well, John Landis did such a good job with that movie too because he made it funny.
Well, that's the thing. Look at the tone of that movie.
Yeah.
It's so different. It's not quite action. It's not quite thriller. It's not quite horror. But it's that little nexus of that weird, almost cheesy, but he rides the line. But then it's still fucking scary.
Yeah.
And it's got the best transition into a werewolf. Ever.
Oh yeah, ever.
What would you call them? Werewolf Nazis.
Yeah,
They're
those
so-
monster Nazis.
It's
yeah.
so good. It's such a good movie. But I would agree, man. There's something about, I put the KY jelly on the creature suit and it comes out. There's something about that. But I think the really way to do it, if you could blend it, if you could blend that great prosthetic effect with the CG motion and somehow really put those two together, it's just most people nowadays, they choose. Like half of what we're doing are blends. Like it's a practical stunt done in a digital composition. Like I'm layering in things, like the shotgun stuff. The guys are on fire, but I'm putting the shotgun stuff, and they're all different layers that I've stitched together. And all the guys are doing it, so I don't have to worry about putting guys out because they're still on fire. So we're doing like a Texas switch. We see one stunt guy on fire run in, and another stunt guy, he goes out, he gets put out, and the other guy comes in.
So what was the inspiration for this? What was this shotgun supposed to be loaded with that lights people on fire?
It's actually called Dragon's Breath. You can check it out.
It's real?
It's real. Dragon's Breath
No
is real.
shit.
We got it
Call
for
of Duty, I've seen it.
Yeah, if you get there's
real.
this great YouTube video with this Russian guy. If you type in Dragon's Breath, he's got a red, white, and blue shotgun. He's this crazy Russian guy that does it, and it's fucking that guy. Second one down. That's the first video I saw of it with this crazy Russian guy. He shoots like a spear gun out of his 12 gauge. He does all this stuff. He's doing all these wacky rounds, like these little needles that come out, and then a spear, and then he does Dragon's Breath.
Oh wow! And so it really does light people on
Yeah,
fire.
well,
That is fucking crazy.
They're like the big balls, right? They're covered in phosphorus. So when they hit the air, they ignite. So they're putting holes in you, and they're lighting you on fire at the same time.
Where do I buy them?
See, I
Yeah.
saw that like early in prep. I was just fucking bored out of my mind. I was surfing through the internet. I was looking up, like, we already did the Benelli thing. We did the caddy, his quad
Yeah.
loading. I'm like, I don't know if I want to do shotguns again. But I'm like, look, it's the third act. I got to go ramp somewhere. I have the Arc de Triomphe sequence in my head. I know I'm going to do the stairs. I'm like, and then Taran introduced me to the Genesis shotgun, automatic shotgun.
That thing is insane. I
Fucking
shot
monster,
that at his
right?
place. It's crazy.
It's crazy.
Isn't it like 12 rounds? How many rounds is it?
I think it's more than 12.
Is it 20?
It might.
It was a giant banana clip.
Yeah, I thought it was almost like 14 or 15. It's something like that, right? But like, and it's
Boom. It's like
very
on
aggressive.
an AR platform,
Yeah,
but it's a
exactly.
shotgun.
So he had already introduced me to that. And I was out in Berlin going, I don't, how am I going to do? Because to regular people, it looks the same. It's not a stylistic change. It looks like, again, like an AR or a 308 or something.
Right.
So it wasn't going to be a shocking change if he grabbed it from the guy. So I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do this. And then I saw that video. I'm like, oh.
That's it.
Yeah, I'm like, oh. But then I couldn't figure out, like, because it's just that starburst, and like no one, they're gonna call bullshit on me. They're
Right.
like, that doesn't exist. So I thought in the montage, I'll have these guys pull out the Dragon's Breath, and then I saw this. I have this huge video game, cinematic trailer collection, and I was just scrolling through it, and this game, something I saw like years ago, was called Hong Kong Massacre. Do you have Hong Kong Massacre trailer? And I was like. What was cool about it was from the top, like we use top shots a lot in film and action, but it always looks like if I did a top shot in here, it's just looking at the carpet and be the top of our heads doing fight stuff.
Right.
So it's okay, but like I wanted a way to make it color and poppy. So I saw this and the blood on the white floors and the paper and all this
What
shit
the
going.
fuck is this?
Right? But this is some wacky game I had never heard of, but I saw the trailer and I was like, it's fucking cool.
This is a video game?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Well, we're getting so close with AI and CGI and the ability to recreate scenes that aren't real.
Right.
Like, are you worried that there's going to come a time where you're not going to need to film movies anymore?
I don't. Yeah. That's part of the thing with the writer's strike right now. Part of their negotiations is AI, and they're trying to.
How do you prepare for
that's-
emergent technology that's going to replace you?
That's what's
though?
interesting. Like, people think the writer's strike is about something, but there's pay raises. There's a lot of issues to what the WGA is doing right now. But I think the writers are addressing something that people dismiss too easily, which is the AI influence. Like somebody's got to be the first one to bring this up. Like you'll have some people might critique, going, well, why are we talking about AI? Like they're not going to write. But yeah, it can. I think the writers are doing the absolute right thing right now by bringing this up, by introducing this, because it's at that point where AI is doing the art already. If you can pipe in, right? And you don't have to pay
illustrators
licensing
are
fees.
freaking out.
Yeah, and they should. I mean, we've seen what it can do. It's impressive. But you do have to feed it from somewhere. It's not quite going to take over the world yet.
Well, there's
but
this artist.
it's getting
Her
there.
name is Molly Crabapple, and she's been speaking out about this, and she's got a very good point. They're not really making these. They're kind of stealing them from online.
Well, that's what's happening. That's what the writers are about, because the scripts have to come from somewhere.
Right.
They have to input something.
Well, at least with writing, you're kind of inputting from language, human language
Right.
that has existed forever. But with illustrations, they're taking illustrations like you aware of the artist Alex Gray? Alex Gray is a famous visionary artist. Does a lot of this wild psychedelic stuff. You can ask AI to make, pull up the ones that I have on my Instagram. They did these images in the style of Alex Gray, and they're as good as Alex Gray stuff. I mean, but it's stealing.
But they had to
from
input.
his style.
Yeah,
it's his
exactly.
style. He created this stuff, like all that.
Right.
Like that is all AI generated, and it's fucking fantastic. And then some people are like, I don't like it. Well, I do.
Yeah.
I like it because I like to look at it.
Right.
But I would rather it be something that Alex Gray actually made. But if you look at that art is incredible.
Yep.
I mean, it's undeniably incredible. And it's all psychedelic inspired, and look at that. I mean, come on. That's AI made that.
Yep.
I mean, what the
Yeah.
fuck, man?
Yeah, I don't. Keanu's really big on that too. Like we're all worried about. I guess we're concerned about what not just the licensing. I'm not worried about being out of a job yet. I don't think. I think we're still a ways off from that as far as live action film goes. As far as animes or video game cinematics and stuff, I think that's on the horizon.
Yes.
I really think that's coming. If you're doing trailers, or if you're doing short films, especially with computer generated animation,
Yeah.
I think that's a legitimate concern. As far as the overall creative, I agree with you. I think it's a concerning thing, but how do you control technology?
You
say
can't.
don't do it. So
I mean, it's just
what do you
going to
do?
get better. I think, unfortunately, what my thought is that one day it's going to get to the point where people have to cherish things that are actually made by humans.
Yeah.
Like this table's made by a person.
Handmade.
Yeah,
Literally
handmade by a
handmade.
person. And it's not going to be everybody that cares. There's going
Right.
to be some people that I don't give a fuck.
Well,
Get
maybe
me an
people
AI-made table.
Yeah, maybe they want. Look, I want a human written song. I want
Yeah.
human composed music.
Yeah.
You know, but I think the licensing part of it is like as far as I know, they still have to input, like you were saying, James or John Gray. They have to like him. They don't have a word for it, so they have to import and literally steal his
Alex
input.
Gray.
Alex Gray, sorry.
Yeah, it's like you have to steal his images and
Right.
then use AI to make something in the style of him. But as far as like illustrators for like the cover of books and things along those lines,
I think that's very viable.
yeah, I mean, they're fucked.
Performance still, I think, is because even now with what they can do with Avatar, they still need performers to go in and give you that little twist.
Yeah.
I mean, I think directors come in and kind of create, like the animations. Like you're still using a model that you've seen in your head to try and get that computer generated character. But I think the real genius of film sometimes is the unknown, right? The happy accident, as Orson Welles would say. You'll get Keanu or Brad Pitt, or you'll get these wonderful actors up there, and you'll get, like, I just watched Heat last night.
Oh, amazing.
Like, you can't tell me man had all that, and like those are just great people on screen, and they're just, you can't, Al Pacino, it's a great ass, like, that wasn't scripted. That's Al, like, there's still those moments that I think.
How about Al Pacino having a kid at 82? What
Very
a fucking psycho.
Or stud.
I guess, but I mean,
that's,
where's he going to be when that kid's 20?
Or 5.
Yeah.
Or
5, yeah.
Right?
Right.
Because but like that's crazy, right?
It's crazy.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy. He's 82 years old.
Yeah,
He's still shooting live rounds. What the fuck,
Or
dude?
it's a great cover story.
I don't think it is.
Yeah, but that's impressive.
I mean, maybe he needs to get a DNA test done, but I bet.
He did demand one.
Did he demand one? Oh, boy. That's a tense
He
moment.
thought he could no longer have children.
That's a
Oh, boy.
Turns out he is the father.
That's a tense moment.
that's an uncomfortable
I
conversation.
thought I couldn't have kids.
You wonder if it was like that, right? Like,
But he had to. I mean, to say I don't trust you, I want a DNA test done. That flavors the entire rest of the
yeah, it's not going to go well after that.
Yeah, I mean,
There's always going to be the mommy daddy talk.
he might not make it to the kid being 5 because of her. She might have a heavy pillow for him.
I was going to say, have another cup of tea, darling.
Yeah. Whoops. What is that? A banana by the stairs?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's that's a tense moment. You're asking someone to take a DNA test, and then you say, "I'm sorry."
That's not enough trust out there anymore.
Yeah. Well, that's probably going to be remedied too. I think mind reading is around the corner. I think.
You
we're-
think?
Yeah.
Is that where we're headed?
Yeah, I think we're about a decade away from no secrets, none, zero. People being able to read people's thoughts.
Really?
Yeah, I think the application of it they'll start probably doing Neuralink and similar technologies. They'll start doing human trials probably within.
Oh, I think they already
start
have,
doing
right?
it already. But I mean, in terms of like the ability,
Proved.
yeah, they're approved for human trials.
Yeah.
What kind of a psycho do you have to be one of the early adopters? Like, yeah, go ahead,
Wanna
cut a
try-
quarter-size hole in my fucking skull. And
Pretty
stick some
desperate. You
wires
really
in
want
there.
that cigarette or that bowl of soup.
Yeah, whatever.
Or was
they're
all
gonna
that
be able to
crazy
do.
stuff in the 70s when MK Ultra and all that. They were
Oh,
they were already
yeah.
trying to do all that shit.
Oh, they were doing some wild shit in the 70s and the 60s. Yeah, that's with the book Chaos by Tom O'Neill. I talk
Right.
about it too much, and I'm sorry for everybody listening.
No, I've read it.
But
I'd love to
you
read
read
it. No, I haven't.
You
I'd
haven't
love
read it?
to, yeah.
It's about Manson. It's about Manson and the
and the
CIA
tie-in
and
between
MK
the
Ultra.
CIA, right?
Yeah, MK Ultra. This
Fascinating
guy,
story.
Jolly West. He was also responsible for making Jack Ruby go crazy. He visited Jack Ruby in jail, and after he shot Lee Harvey Oswald, and then Jack Ruby was like saying, "They're burning the Jews." He's like hiding under his bunk, screaming like, "I'm in hell!" Like they fucking dosed him with acid.
Yeah.
Then they dosed Manson with acid, and I think they taught Manson. I mean, according to Tom O'Neill's research, which I trust, and it's an amazing book. Tom O'Neill was a guy who was a neighbor for my friend Greg Fitzsimmons. And he was like, "Hey, what are you working on?" He's like, "Oh, I'm writing this article about Charles Manson and the anniversary of the Manson family murders." he starts writing it 20 years ago, and he starts doing research, and he can't get the article out. It's just too much research. He's doing too much, and it extends fucking forever. He keeps having to give money back, and like the publishers are freaking out at him. And then finally, they got him someone to help him and an editor to sit down with him, and he puts out this masterpiece. And this book is called Chaos, and it's the definitive book on Charles Manson, the Manson family, and their ties to the CIA. And it's fucking crazy.
Very cool.
It's crazy. They did it to discredit the hippie movement.
Right.
They had this guy and these flower children. They had them go out and fucking murder people, and they talked them into doing it with acid, and they trained them how to do it through the techniques that he learned through MK Ultra. Yeah, it's like it's pretty definitive. I mean, when you read it, you know it doesn't leave a lot to imagination. Yeah, it's like pretty much that's what they did. And, you know, they were involved in all kinds of shit with that back then. You know, that's the Stanford prison experiments. That's the Harvard LSD studies. The Harvard LSD studies, when they did that, you know who was in that? The fucking Unabomber.
Really?
The Unabomber, yeah, Ted Kaczynski. He was a part of the Harvard LSD studies. He was already fucked up. Like his brother said he was already fucked up because when he was young, there's a great documentary on him that's on Netflix. It's really good.
Right.
And in it, they talk about how he was ill when he was a child, when he was a baby. And they put him in like this, I guess some sort of a hospital. And in this hospital, they didn't pick him up. They just let him cry in a crib for like weeks and months. And like he had no human touch.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, so he became like this
that'll make
complete
you mental,
fucking
right?
psychopath. And then on top of that, they put him in the Harvard LSD studies. So then and then he writes the manifesto and then starts fucking killing people because he thinks, rightly so, that technology is going to replace human beings, which I think he probably, as crazy as he was, he probably saw something. I mean, if you extrapolate what's happening now with technology and you take it to its logical end, like what's the event horizon of technology? Well, it's an artificial life form. It's probably it's probably not just AI, it's probably life itself. It's not the artificial intelligence that exists in a computer. It's probably a new form of life. And I think that's probably what human beings give birth to. I think that's what we're doing. That's why we're obsessed with technology and innovation. I think it's a part of the process that leads intelligent life forms to create intelligent life.
Yeah, which is evolution.
And that intelligent life creates vastly superior intelligent life because it just knows how to do it better, and it probably does it like almost instantly. It's like, oh, you guys fucked up everything.
Exactly, and looks back and goes,
Yeah.
okay, we don't need you anymore.
Yeah. Well, not only that, just all it would have to do is just all you'd have to do to get rid of people. It's people like, oh, they're going to wipe us out. All they'd have to do is give us free electricity, free food, free internet, and an app that makes you come. And that would be it.
That's it. We'd all
That'd be a wrap.
We'd all just stay in our homes.
Yeah, no one would go
and
anywhere.
just let it fade
Yeah,
out.
if you can come 300 times a day, good luck having a family.
Yeah, you're
good
not
luck
gonna-
having relationships. Good luck even forming them. If you can
you're not
have
dating.
these experiences through an app or through artificial intelligence, something that's attached to your brain, that's infinitely superior. I mean, look how addicted people are to just looking at TikTok. Just looking at people do dances and get hit by
crazy.
cars.
It's
just
annoyingly crazy.
It's insane, and it's so addictive, and it's very minor in the reward that it gives you. It gives you this very minor dopamine rush.
Right.
But if it gives you transcendental experiences,
I
like
was gonna say.
unbelievable experiences,
Surreal to the point that they
Yeah.
feel real.
well, that's the worry about the simulation, right? That there's a lot of people, Elon included, that believe that it's more likely that we are in a simulation than not. And that's like, I had a long conversation with this guy about probability theory and simulations, and according to probability theory, we are in a simulation. But it's like, what does that mean? Like, what are you saying? Like, well, if there is a simulation, if it's possible, if there is infinite galaxies out there, which we're pretty sure there are, and there's infinite numbers of life forms that are where we are and superior, and then superior to that, and then like every variation in between, it's inevitable that someone is going to come up with something that's indistinguishable from reality,
Right.
or superior to it. And maybe we're in that right now. And if we are in that right now,
How'd you know?
Yeah, how would you know? I mean, maybe that is what life is. Maybe that is, maybe that's exactly how it works out.
Self-evolving.
Yeah.
Auto-correcting.
Yeah, and we think of it as like, oh my God, it's not even life. But maybe that is what the universe creates.
The Matrix did hit on a few things like that, which makes it a little bit... There's a whole thing I remember after that came out was 98, 99. Everyone was really thinking like that. You're like, how would you know?
Right.
And they had that great little scene at the end where it was like, the first one failed because it was too perfect.
Yeah.
Turned out you fucking humans needed failure. You needed pain. You needed misery to make it work. And that kind of auto-corrects back to, like at first you'd go like, well, we can't be in isolation because my life wouldn't suck so bad. Then you're like, well, actually...
Yeah, maybe it would.
Maybe it would suck.
Well, maybe that's also what motivates people to continue to buy things and innovate.
I was going to say, without that, I want more.
Right.
How do you keep the machine going? How do you keep the gerbil on the wheel?
And it's kind of like people inherently know it, which is why people are like, oh, I just want a cabin by the lake.
Yeah, but they want to go buy a new
settle
tent
down.
and they want to buy a canteen. Everybody wants their kit, man. Everybody loves kit.
Yeah, they never stop. It never stops. It's a desire that human beings have that no other animal has.
Which is weird now too, because it's not only just going out and go camping. They want to go out camping so they can share the experience with someone else.
Right.
At times, I'm still a little old school, so I don't really do the social media thing or anything. But like,
You don't do it at all?
we have Instagram for the company. That's
good. But you
for 87.
personally don't do it?
I don't. No.
Good for you.
I'm
I'm so happy when I meet people that are just
I wouldn't know how.
good for you. Good
So
for
I'm
you.
going to stay ignorant. I'll let my
TikTok's
assistant
where I
do it.
draw the line. I don't have a
Yeah, I
TikTok.
don't
I'm like,
do
get the
any of
fuck
that.
out of here. Plus, it's Chinese spyware.
But
like
yeah,
100%.
exactly right. It's another way into the phone.
As opposed to what though? American spyware.
Well, that's what I say. Like it's
Yeah.
the same thing. It's just
Yeah.
okay, different country. Who do you want listening to you?
Well,
today?
this is interesting. Like that car that I showed you, that the Steve McQueen bullet car.
Right.
I was Googling that, and then all of a sudden it shows up on Instagram.
Of course,
Shows up
they
a
do.
bunch of
course
them
they
show
do.
up on
Of course
Instagram.
they
I'm
do.
like, what the fuck is this?
Do you know
Like,
many times? Yeah, of course.
how is that on my Instagram? I didn't look for it on Instagram.
No, they just cross-reference it. Somebody's sharing it.
Somehow or
Of course.
another, it's getting in there. Is
Absolutely.
this what you want? Is
That's
this
what
you
I
want?
literally have a separate computer at work, completely dialed in, like almost air capped off me, because the shit I look up is pretty sketchy. Man. It's pretty sketchy.
Yeah, that's probably smart. Yeah.
And then I don't know. It's weird. People do experiences just to share them instead of experience them. That's always been weird.
That is
Like,
weird.
that's
Like when people go camping just to let people know they're
they're
camping.
camping. Like, look, if
Yeah.
you love camping, right on. Because like I don't need to videotape myself rolling to know I love jiu-jitsu.
Right.
Like I I don't want
But
that
people
for.
do love to do
They
that.
do it. They look at me.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, that's a bit.
There's also value in it for some people that do it, that are in that world, like competitors. and
Absolutely. No, marketing's one thing.
Yeah.
But when you're doing it as a social structure, I think that can be damaging because you're not giving 100%. You're not focusing. I think that's eroding
Right.
a lot of the. Like,
It's a blurry line, though.
it is, right? Because it's
Yeah.
weird. I get a lot of our stunt teams are younger kids. Obviously, they're younger kids. I call them kids, but they're in their 20s, going to 30s. I mean, freak athletes, fantastic. But that generation is completely woven into that. Like, but again, we're in the entertainment industry, so they're trying to get themselves out there because that's not how you get jobs.
Yeah.
Like my day, you had to go knock on doors. Now it's like put yourself out on Instagram, doing
Yeah.
a cool trick, and now you get the next gig. So, I can be the old crusty guy going, "Oh, you guys with your Instagram shit," but to them, it is a weird line because it
Yeah.
is how they get work. It's how they get themselves out there. Self-branding is a part of our world now.
Yeah. But it's weird where people just want to take pictures just for the gram.
Yeah.
That's all they want.
Like
people,
experience it
yeah.
and take pictures,
Yeah.
but don't do it to take.
I met this guy at the gas station today, and he asked to take a picture. I go, sure. And he goes, don't worry, I won't post it. I'm like, he's like, you know how many pictures of me there are out there? Go ahead and post it.
But it was nice of him to
Okay.
say. That's kind of,
It is nice.
that was.
Yeah, it was nice.
It's weird that you have to say that, but yeah.
But I think he's a pretty old school guy.
Yeah.
But the fact that he said that, don't worry, I
Well,
won't post it.
Well, that's good. It wasn't for him to get recognition. It was for him
Right.
because he's actually a fan, and he just wanted to show his,
Well, he
kin or
wanted to do it
whatever.
for his wife because he said that his wife calls me his boyfriend or something like that. that he's a fanboy.
All right, good. Okay, little deep with the story there.
Well,
right?
I mean, just some fucking, oh, you got a man crush on Joe Rogan. So he took a picture, but he's
That-
like, don't
that's
worry, I won't post it. I'm like, that's interesting. I thought it was interesting at the time. I was like, I don't care, it's okay. But it was interesting that he was aware of that. Like, not.
But I think that's a good thing. That's a good man.
thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a good thing.
man.
Yeah, but that the thing is like, does it exist? You know, if a tree falls in the forest and
And
no
you
one
don't
hears it.
you don't
Yeah.
Instagram it. Does
Right.
it exist?
Yeah, it is I mean, it's an inevitability. You know, and my kids are like firmly entrenched in that world.
That's their deal. Born with cell phone in hand.
Yeah.
You know, that's it.
What's shocking to me is how well they are at navigating things.
How have you seen like you know, I have a 10 flying through that iPad.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like,
Crazy.
I can't. I'm still looking for my email.
Right, they know how to edit shit. My daughter figured out when she first got a phone that if she screen records, because my wife gave her a time limit on it, but it was a password time limit thing. So she would have to give it to my wife to get extra screen time. So she set screen record. So she
she could
knew
actually
when. So she just rewound it and like
She's doing the
3,
bank
4,
heist.
6, 9, whatever the fuck the number is.
She literally did
Yeah.
the bank heist and
I'm like,
recorded.
first of
over.
all, I want to give her knuckles.
yeah,
I'm
A
gonna go,
plus for figuring that one
That's
out.
pretty dope. I like how you did.
Yeah.
it. That's a clever little
Craftiness is a big skill.
girl. Yeah. Well, it's like they're like little prisoners. You know, prisoners figure out all kinds of stuff to do because out of necessity, they figure out a way to make things and manufacture their own stuff.
Isn't that a trip? Like I was, you know, people always come up and ask, like, okay, hey, I want to get into directing. How do I get into directing? I'm like, okay, what have you directed? Like, what do you mean? Well, you have an iPhone, right? I mean, do you see what these things can do? Like,
Yeah.
you know, we had remember the big VHS cameras, 2 VCRs. That's how
Yeah.
like with an iPhone, like, so let me get this straight. You can edit, shoot, color correct, sound effect, visual effect. Like you can do it all. You can
You
go
can
out and
edit
shoot
it on the phone.
and I've like again, my 10-year-old like niece and nephew can fly.
yeah.
They're so good. Like
you can do effects. You can do slow motion.
I've seen stuff that like you can do wire removal. You
Yeah.
can do full on composition.
Oh, yeah.
like it's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable.
And they're free apps. What's all the photo ones? You can get different heads on people.
Yeah.
You can start deep faking people literally on your iPhone right now.
That's another thing that's fucking people up is these filters, where girls see these girls that have this perfect face and perfect
and they
skin
don't realize
Yeah.
that it's a filter. It's Photoshop. You know,
Yeah.
you're getting photoshopped out there.
Basically, you're looking at animation.
Yeah.
It's a version of animation applied to an actual human being.
Isn't that creepy though? But everybody thinks that's what you have to be.
Yeah.
That's what there's a lot of VFX companies nowadays that do solely cosmetic work. You know, not just to, you know, fix scars or inconsistent like flyaway hairs and stuff, but you can do the level of what's possible cosmetically in digital work right now is pretty fascinating.
One of my
too.
wife's friends was a model, and they would take photos of her with no makeup on. It was all
And
no
just
makeup, and they
do
put it
in
all
post.
on afterwards.
That's insane.
Like she's basically a canvas.
See,
Very
that, you know, now
strange.
you go to AI and you go to, like, because I know Keanu, a lot of actors have deals. You cannot digitally alter their image in any way. Keanu tells a story when we were talking about AI a while ago. Was like, you know, he had done a certain performance, and they had added a digital tear. It seems so subtle and so trivial, but it did change the performance. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So you've come in, you've committed to a performance, and someone's changed it without your knowledge. Like that's granted, that's beyond editing because we can choose different takes, but still, it was augmenting a performance that was never given.
Right.
You know, that's just the tip of what you could do. Now, what if you started digitally enhancing smiles or frowns, or you gave an eye like it's not just a look, it's not cosmetic, it's performance.
Yeah, you can alter so much about
Yeah.
a person's facial features in a film.
Well, I mean, God, I do it in this. You know, we do face replacements all the time. You know, not on Keanu, but on some of the other cast, or when we're doing a dangerous stunt, or we have like a helmet on a guy, we'll erase it and put a nondescript person's face or head on it. It's fucking cake. It's really easy, which is scary.
Yeah.
You're laughing about it when you're in the theater and you're editing, but you're like,
But that's what my thought is, that in the future, will you even have to make that scene? Can it all be done with AI? Because I think right now there's that uncanny valley, right? Where you see AI scenes, and you're like, oh, that's not real.
Yeah.
You know, like in Game of Thrones, like when they have the dire wolves walking around, you're like, that's not a real wolf.
Right.
But how far away are we from totally being...
I think you could do it now. It's time and money. If you gave a digital artist enough time with just the technology we have today, you could do a digital character and work with it's time. But we can do we can make it look photoreal. It's just it's the organicness, right? It's that heaviness when you step, or it's it's almost too perfect. It's the inconsistencies.
Yeah.
It's the fucked up hair. It's the the little like. gesture that you can't figure
Looking
out, or
like
the
a
randomness.
person.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or the Steve Buscemi.
Yeah,
Like, you're
exactly.
not gonna
The
make
nutty,
a
the
guy.
unpredictability, the
Yeah.
nuttiness that you can't quite get. But that's just a matter of time. That's just time.
Yeah,
But the
they're-
technology's there.
They're just going to take all the weird characters that have ever existed and come up with one.
Well, then you
that's-
get an algorithm to pull in the
Yeah.
aggregate of all the fucked up weirdness out there, and how do you spit that back
Yeah.
out, right?
It's basically a version of these Alex Gray paintings. They're just going to take all the weird guys that
Yeah,
are
no, I don't doubt it. And
character actors.
I mean, that's why a lot of directors get into animation. There's very other than taking references and stuff, but like no one's calling. I mean, those animators, they're drawing their characters from somewhere.
Yeah.
Whether it's a person they see in the street, or it's a Tekken video, or it's a Taekwondo match, they're taking that action from somewhere, and then they're embellishing upon it. So like, no one's calling them out on where they're drawing it.
Yeah, it's just such a strange world that we live in now. Especially, I'm 55. I don't know how
54.
Yeah, so we grew up in the age where we were there when the answering machine came about. We were there when the
We had
VHS.
pagers.
Yeah, we had pagers. We were there when the VHS came about.
Yeah.
Like those were to go from that to where we are today.
Yeah, it's fucking insane.
And to try to figure out what's next, like where the future is.
Right?
I mean, it's like, what the fuck?
That was just in the last, 20, 30 years.
And then Apple released that thing today. Did they release it? Do we know what it is?
I'm looking. It's gonna be expensive. It's not gonna come out till next year, but it's got a headset. I'll try to find a picture.
They just released some new Apple AR headset that's supposed to be a real game changer.
Really?
Yeah, it's going to be augmented reality and virtual reality.
That's the side view
with the
of it.
goggles.
Yeah.
It's got see-through though, so like there's a picture I've seen. I don't know if this one will show it. You can see their eyes through it.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
So what does it do? Does it layer in reality
Yeah,
and?
so it's
Okay, so it's augmented,
yeah.
right?
And
So it's
that
putting
might
in
be able
layers.
to shut off, and you can do some VR stuff. I haven't seen we're doing the show, so I can't.
This
watch the
might be the step. This might
So is
be
this? But
the
is this
one.
with touch?
stuff. No controllers,
Right.
so it's all with your hands.
Right. That's what I'm saying. But it can project the hologram, and then you.
So
you go
Minority
through.
Report style.
Yeah, Minority Report. Exactly.
Moving stuff around.
Good
Yeah.
movie.
Underrated film. too.
Yeah, very underrated film. Yeah, here's everything. This is it. So was that a screen?
Yeah,
so you're watching?
So they do have a controller there, but maybe you don't need it. So I guess they're playing video game there, I think.
Oh, so you play the video game right in front of your face. Oh,
And
wow.
still see the world around you.
Oh, wow.
No screen.
So there's no screen, so you're watching a movie. But
Well,
but
see-
that could just be a screen. I don't want that. What I want is full immersion. That's what I'm interested in when it comes to like video games and films, like full immersion.
I'll have to do. Well, we'll find out.
Yeah,
after
you're
we're done
talking.
how
You don't
cool
want
this
to
is gonna
see
be.
the world. You just
Yeah.
want to be wrapped in it.
Yeah, I think that's what's going to get real
Well,
weird.
that brings you what you were talking about earlier when you're talking about like the Wall-E thing. You got a bunch of
Yeah.
people sitting in chairs. Now you got your family on couch instead of watching a TV together. You probably got your
Yeah,
goggles
they're all
on,
wearing goggles.
and you have 5 individuals in their own world. That's a little
Very
weird.
bizarre.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're all watching a show together, but then your kid sneaks in porn.
Yeah, and you got other shows. You're like, "How's that going?" You're like, "It's great, Dad. It's
Yeah,
great."
it does end up doing what you were asking for. So here's just the little video they showed at the event. So here's the guy's like looking at different screens that would be on his phone or computer, and this thing then expands out here in a second. He probably hit a button,
Oh,
and
wow.
the next one then shows it taking over your whole
Panoramic.
room.
Whoa.
And he's floating in space watching something.
You're not going to get anybody to leave the house in 20 years. It's going to be very strange.
I don't know.
Very strange.
Remember when you had to go to a bar?
Yeah, remember those days?
Yeah, you
Well,
just
those
told your friend
di-
meet me somewhere because
Those
you
days
couldn't
are
call
still.
him.
Oh yeah, you had to meet them.
You couldn't call 'em.
Yeah. Oh, I remember those days. When I used to go to the pool hall, the most valuable thing was the payphone.
Dude,
because people
you-
would call the payphone.
How many quarters did you used to walk around? We'd have our pager, and stunts, you'd have about 10 minutes to get back to the answering service if you were available or not. So you had to pull off the 405, find a payphone, and put those quarters in. You always
Yeah.
had that roll of quarters.
I remember the phone cards too.
Yep.
Remember phone cards?
cards? You had to
were-
slide them in. Sometimes they worked, sometimes they didn't.
Yeah. Fucking strange world we
Right.
live in now.
Yeah.
I mean, who would have ever thought that everyone would have a phone on them everywhere you go?
No, even kids.
Yeah.
And none of that. You don't need the computer after a while. Like,
Yeah.
computer is kind of an afterthought now. It's just so you can see something, but you can do it all on your phone.
Yeah, I used to always travel with a laptop.
Yeah.
Like if I was going on the road, and now all my notes are on my phone.
Yeah,
on
it's
my
phone, or at most I'll take an iPad.
Yeah.
At tops. And it's just to read on. So
I
can
know.
fucking
It's so
see it.
strange. It's such a
But
strange
like
time.
on set, like there'd be people like you just give people just through their phone. Everything's happening and you're moving. Like
Yeah.
I don't know how else you'd do it now to be that efficient.
Well, it definitely makes you more productive and more efficient. You can get a lot done.
Yeah.
You
And
know?
with the right motivation, like you say, with the right people, it's a tool. Wrong
Right.
people, it becomes a distraction.
Yeah, but it's just most people do not have the kind of discipline that's required to like.
To manage the technology we have.
Yeah, and
I get it.
And as it comes, it gets strong. Like, you know, maybe you have the discipline to avoid coffee. Do you have the discipline to avoid meth?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like, what
that's
about
what
Adderall?
your
Yeah.
iPhone is. It's brain
Right.
meth, right?
And it's also like, if you're doing meth, you know you're fucking up, right? But what if your doctor gives you the meth?
You know, it's great. Like we're doing now. Like we say something, he pulls it up. It's good for research. It's good for something
Sure.
like that. But like it also can be that like, don't you want to think about it a little bit? Like
Right.
it doesn't always have to be a reference. It doesn't always have to be what's on YouTube.
Right.
YouTube has become the new Encyclopedia Britannica. You know?
Oh, yeah.
And you take it as real, which is the scarier part.
Oh, that's the scary part.
You know what I mean?
Es-
It's like, oh, it's on
especially
YouTube.
If you have gullible friends and they send you things, you're like, hey, man, that's not real.
Yeah, dude.
Don't. You need to like Google that thing and then debunked. In fact, don't even Google it. Go to DuckDuckGo.
Well, like
And then-
there are people that are actually like, great story idea.
Yeah.
They'll Google it. Like they'll actually Google.
Oh, yeah.
Great story idea, or great script, or great action sequence.
Well, AI will do it
And you're
for
like-
you now. ChatGPT will do that for you, and this is
That's
just
insane.
ChatGPT 4. You know what happens when they get to ChatGPT 30?
So again, to all that, it's like, okay, so let's think. Like, if you're not inputting it, right? If you're
Right.
just asking it, and you take that idea, is that copyright?
Right.
You know what I mean? That's where it
Right.
gets funky, right? Because like you can
Does get
research
funky.
it. You could be the programmer. You're
Right.
doing the copyright infringement. But if I'm the one benefiting it by Googling it or like doing the AI thing,
Right.
am I infringing? Or
It's
just,
a very good question.
you know what I mean?
I mean, they
It's
can code
tricky.
websites for you now, like really quickly, like instantaneously.
Right.
They can do code flawlessly. They can do so many different things.
So yeah, what does that do to that industry?
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, it's going to kill so many industries. I mean, this is something that Andrew Yang was talking about with automation, but I don't think he anticipated
Nothing
AI
like
and
this.
things like this.
Well, the creative aspect of business is a whole nother level.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's
Writing,
weird.
creative, visual, graphic art in general.
Right.
Architectural design would be the same
Right.
thing.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think really anything like that, but coding especially.
And it can do it instantaneously.
I know.
Stuff that would take people
Yeah,
months.
I know, months. What's the waiting time?
Right.
8
and
minutes,
it-
you know?
No need for creativity. No need to be sitting alone, bored, just trying to figure out ideas, just trying to get those ideas to pop into your head.
I think that's, they call it like 0 to 1 learning, right? I hand you a blank piece of paper. Give me a great idea. That's different than if I give you a shitty idea and I say, okay, Joe, fix it.
Right.
Like that's 1 to 10 thinking. You can
Yes.
like, I'm good at like someone gives me a shitty sequence, I can make a better sequence.
Yes.
The 0 to 1 is that's what they really pay you for, to come up with the original cool idea.
That was a problem with joke thieves. Because joke thieves would go to open mic nights and they would watch amateurs, but amateurs that had like a pretty good premise.
Right.
But they just
didn't,
sucked.
Yeah, didn't quite
They're
have
like,
it yet.
oh, I know how to do that. Like,
Right.
so a professional would sit in the back of an open mic night and watch
Really?
the open. Oh, yeah. It was a real issue. Yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah,
I
yeah,
never
yeah.
would have thought of that.
Well, they've all been busted. Most of them have been busted.
But how do you get busted on that? You just,
Comics,
they just
other
know?
comics, and then now the YouTube people. The YouTube people will take bits and
Oh, no,
show
compare
that
it
this is
kinda
where
thing.
it came from, and some pretty prominent people have been busted doing that.
Really?
Yeah, because it's just it's too easy. Like if someone I'm really good at like if a young comic says I got this idea, it can't work, I go tell me the bit. And they'll tell me that. So I'm fresh, right? Like
Right.
I'm looking at it completely from the outside, but they already have structure. So I go, oh, okay, cut that part out and put it in the front and say, just set it up with almost like the punchline.
Right.
And then your new punchline is this. And they're like, oh.
Yeah, you layered it.
Yeah, you just figure out a way, but I didn't have the idea. It was
Right.
there. The ideas are the hardest thing.
Way hardest.
Premises for stand-up comedy in particular, they're some of the hardest things to acquire. A good thing to talk about. And there's things that everybody talks about, like Biden falls down. Ha ha. Everybody talks about it. It's like
Right.
simple, it's easy, it's right there for everybody. So there's a lot of parallel thinking. But then like weird premises, like someone who takes something that no one ever would have thought would be comedy and then turns that into a bit. Well, if that person's an amateur and someone's sitting in the back of the room and they're kind of clunky with their way of doing it, but the person who's a pro sees it and goes, I can fix that. and then they just steal it.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah, that's the thing. So when you ask AI to write jokes for you, how do you know if AI is not stealing it from a blog?
Right.
Because AI is scouring the entire internet.
Right.
So they could be getting it from all sorts of different people's intellectual property.
Right. Yeah, that's true. I think even more to that is, again, what the writers are saying about now is like, you know, they're paid on their first pass. They're paid in passes. You know, pass the script, and they get paid less for a rewrite than they do an original idea. I think what they're most concerned about, and I could have this wrong, but what I was told by a lot of my writer friends is that, you know, a real concern is no one's trying to replace writers with you know, the finished draft.
Yes.
But an AI can kick out a shitty draft.
Yes.
And then they can hire a human to do the second draft.
Yeah.
At like half price.
Yeah.
Like that's it. So like AI's pumping out the shitty first, so they get, you know, that's the thing. So what's a human, like you're saying, what's a human first draft? What's a first draft? What's a second draft?
And we're talking about a business that already has a bunch of shady practices.
Oh yeah, I mean everybody's copying everybody. Everybody's stealing ideas. Everybody's doing. But you know, whether you're evolving those ideas, whether you're just straight up ripping them off, or whether they're inspiring you, you're still using off
You're
something
getting
that
it from
exists,
something.
right?
Well, we're all influenced by everything that's been created before
Well,
us.
that's life, right? There's
Yeah.
you can't stop but being influenced. Like,
Of course.
That's why you people watch. That's why you get all
Yes.
your material. That's how I get my material. We just
Of
go out and
course.
we watch, we observe,
Yeah.
or we
Yeah.
read, you know, whatever.
There's a guy I used to do jiu-jitsu with, and he was a screenwriter, and he brought a screenplay. He brought a fully formed script to a very prominent production company, and they stole it. They completely stole it and made a blockbuster film, and he went to court with them and won and got credited in the film.
Jeez.
But it was a battle. It was a fucking battle.
And he
it
probably
took
had as a draft right there.
Oh,
You
yeah.
actually copyright.
And he also had the papers. He had all the documentation that showed that he had
well, that's what the
registered
WGA
it.
is for, right?
Yes.
That's why they would do all that.
But it's just dirty as fuck that they just took it and ran. They're like, well, let them fucking sue us.
Yeah.
And that's what he did, because they're like, nope, fuck you. He's like, fuck you. I met with you. I gave you this idea. And like, fuck you. Like, we're huge and you're some guy, and, you know, don't fucking cause trouble or you're never going to work again.
That's a horror story.
It's scary, but that is, how common is that in Hollywood?
Again, it's that fucking soft line, because you're so inspired and everybody's like,
But this wasn't inspired.
I think, no. What I'm saying
This
is,
was the star
Yeah.
that he wrote it for, wound up starring in the movie.
yeah, okay, that's probably how they got caught. That was a
Yeah.
little too on the nose. But like, that's why I think a lot of studios stay with existing IP. That's why, you know, comic books.
Yes.
You get a book, like you're not going to run into a battle. I am
Right.
doing the book. There's
Right.
no interpretation.
It's
not like you
Spider-Man.
said, you
Yeah.
and I didn't have this, hey, we got this idea for like this lizard guy, and like we just
Right,
we
right.
made it up in parallel thinking. Like
Right.
you have a little lukewarmness there, but
But for people like that have come up with a thing and had it stolen, AI is so scary.
well, again, that's a double whammy, right?
And what if it can get into Google Docs, right? What if you upload it to the cloud, and so you've got all your shit sitting up there on the cloud?
All your notes,
Oh,
all your
yeah.
personal thoughts, all your
Everything.
diaries, all your
Everything.
rough drafts.
All
Like,
of it.
I guess that's the real thing. People now, like, you know, I have notebook and notebook and notebook. I'm sure you do too, of like all your past ideas. I still
Mm-hmm.
have hard copies, but a lot of people I know have all their, you know, like my production designer, all designs that are yet to be experienced. It's all uploaded. It's not all digital copies.
Yeah.
Shit that's never made it out. Like I have like 3 or 4 ideas that haven't made it out yet that are fully flushed. And like, you know, somebody gets a hold of that. You're like, you can't argue with them because they haven't written a thing yet.
Right.
You know, and they're like, oh, that was funny. We both had that space fantasy.
Yeah.
Interesting, right?
It's a weird world we live in, and in your world, the world of creating these entertainment properties, these things like John Wick. It's like that's a world where you're like more likely to get poached.
I think so. But again, I'm going to go, yeah, it does suck, and we should at least start the talks about how to protect ourselves against that or what it could be. But at the same time, like, look, if you're creative, if you have good ideas, you're going to keep coming. So to answer your earlier question, yeah, I'm going to give it a go again. I'm working on this project called Highlander. We're going to redo Highlander a little bit.
Really?
Yeah.
No shit.
We have
I loved Highlander.
Highlander's awesome. I'm super stoked to do something with that. We have Ghost of Tsushima. on the plates. The video based on the video game, the samurai film.
Oh wow!
And Rainbow Six. Those are the three I'm
Yeah,
working
we
on
need
now.
a good samurai movie. When was the last
this
time was
is-
a good the Last Samurai? with
Check
Tom
if you can
Cruise?
check out the game. Check out the game Ghost of Tsushima. It's one of the best looking games out there. But it's got a great
Pull it
story.
up. What
Great
what
story.
is it about?
Jin Sakai and the Mongol invasion.
Oh shit! When the
Tsushima
Mongols
Island.
invaded Japan,
Yeah, they had to stop in Tsushima Island.
Japan was the only people that kept them out.
Yeah, and it
The
was
samurais were the only people that
they-
like defeated the Mongols. They're like,
they got
ah,
their
fuck
asses
this.
kicked, but they
Yeah.
stalled them long enough for bad weather to sink them in the kamikaze, the typhoon that hit.
This is it. Oh wow,
you
that's
gotta-
incredible!
It's based on Kurosawa's cinematography and stuff. But
Look how good this looks. Holy shit!
again,
the
won every
blowing
award out
leaves.
there for cinematography.
When was this made?
This is just a few years ago. We've been developing the script ever since, which we have, and we're working with Sony right now to bring this to fruition.
Oh my god, this is going to be incredible.
But a great storyline, fantastic storyline.
Wow, this is amazing. The graphics.
Yeah.
Oh,
some of the,
boy.
Some of the best sword fights you'll see.
Oh,
with the katana and
Jesus.
stuff. It's basically the birth of the first shinobi, about how he has to, be something less than a samurai, but more than anything else to save his people.
This is incredible.
Yeah, fantastic.
I didn't even
fantastic
know it
story.
existed.
Yeah, fantastic. You check it. I'm not a big game guy, but I love the story so much. I contacted Sony PlayStation, going, we got to do this. Like, we really have to do this.
Yeah. Oh, that's a great idea for a film.
Yeah. So between these guys and like what they got going on with Rainbow Six and Michael B. Jordan, I think one of those three will build a few worlds and have some fun.
I'm sure.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Well, listen, man, it was great talking to you. It was
Oh,
great
my
meeting
pleasure.
you at Taran's, and
Hopefully we'll see.
I'm
see you
super
again.
pumped that you put the 71 Barracuda in the film. that
All
was
'cause of
awesome.
you.
It was awesome. I mean, I could tell people that. They're like,
Yeah.
shut the fuck up. I'm like, no, I'm telling you,
it's
I
the
talked to
real
Chad.
deal. No, that's the reason.
Well,
we
that's
listen to
awesome.
the fans.
Well, I appreciate it, and I am a fan. Thank you very much
No,
for
huge
being
fan
here.
back
And
for you guys.
congratulations with the movie.
No, thank you guys very much.
My pleasure.
Thanks.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.